wealth. Because if they were trying to just hoard the wealth, it wouldn't matter the color of the people in the family. So what I'm saying is, at the end of the day, it is about more than just keeping money. The reason racism exists is because of something Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, like I was saying to the guest before you, it is a fear of a world that doesn't look so white and bright. That's the innate fear that racism was created out of, and a justification for the enslavement of African people and the colonization of non-white people worldwide led to the creation of what we now call social and institutional racism. So, that's the reason for the systems. Peace and power to all the descendants of my ancient mother. My name is Brother Legend, and I'm here to raise your consciousness. What up, y'all? Free to land. If you're joining us on YouTube, my TikTok is at BIGBROLGND. You can join us there. You can also tap on the top right notification bell to be notified of when I go live. Like, comment, share, subscribe, all of that. What's going on, y'all? Back up here once again. Peace gives hug. And peace, Dr. Robert. What up, what up? Come on in. I like it nice and brown in here. You know what I'm saying? The browning of the live. I love it, I love it, I love it. What's up, what's up? What's up? Tap like if you in here, brothers and sisters. All the descendants of my ancient mother and the women in her likeness. My sisters, what's going on? To all my brothers, what's up? I hope y'all seen that Monique interview. She talking about black love on there. I know that's a hard pill for some of us to swallow. But Monique talking about black love on there, boy. Shout out to Sister Monique. Shout out to Sister Monique. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Sister Monique. Y'all gonna stop playing with Monique. Y'all gonna stop playing with Monique. And she ain't favoring none of y'all Hollywood elites. None of y'all people that done made money off of making caricatures of our people. Selling stereotypes back to our people to benefit white corporations. You know what I'm saying? She calling out Tyler Perry, Oprah, all of them. You know what I'm saying? Y'all gonna put some respect on her name. She said, I won an Oscar. They made me N-word of the year. I won the Ninja of the Year award. And the price didn't go up. I thought the price was supposed to go up after you get the Ninja of the Year award. That was enough to wake her up, I guess. She got her a black man. When you see a black woman speaking that love into her black man, ain't nothing wrong with that. Ain't nothing wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Sister Monique. Club Shay Shay is something different, boy. Club Shay Shay is something different. We need Dame Dash on there. I want to see Dame Dash go after Jay-Z on there. He already did it a bunch of times, but he be sounding kind of off. I'm gonna be honest. He not like Monique. We can't put Monique and him in the same box. You know what I'm saying? But answer the questions up above me. I will give you a grade. You will be graded on your answers. Put yes, no, no, yes, whatever you want down below. I already got one answer here. No, yes, no. Let me analyze that for you. Hold on. Yes, Mac, that dude, gets an A+, the first A of the day. Somebody said my husband is brown. That is weird. Do you mean that as a race or a color? Like, what do you mean by brown? You know what I'm saying? That's kind of, what is your definition of brown? Does that mean he's Middle Eastern, or does that mean he's from South America, like indigenous to South America. Like, I don't know. Are they both brown? I don't know what that means. Um. Okay. Why are you telling us that though? Gives hug always with the A+. Appreciate you. Race and color. Interesting. I'm going to bring people up here when we get to 2K likes. So we got some people coming up. Just hold on. We almost there. We're at 1.8K. Keep tapping like, tapping like. We're not doing the Panther pause because there's some type of protest going on right now with TikTok. I'm not going to cross the picket line. I don't know who came up with this. I don't know what you call it, but my Cash App is tax deductible, non-profit. B1initiative.org if you want to learn more. $ bring down Babylon. Coin cut. Yeah, that's what they're calling it. Coin cut. Yeah, I don't know who came up with that. I don't know whose idea that was, but I'm not going to cross the picket line in favor of black people. So, you know what I'm saying? 2 no's, 1 yes. Okay. There are 2 no's up there. There is 1 yes up there. I got to know the order that you're saying that in. Someone's trying to come up dizzy. You got to turn your camera on. You're going to get kicked down. TikTok is going to kick you down.
Yo,
Hello, Mike. Give us your age, race, and pronouns, please.
I'm 21. I'm from Egypt, and I think my pronouns would be he.
Are you a white Egyptian, a black Egyptian, an Asian Egyptian? What are you?
I'm a brown Egyptian. I'm mixed. Both of my parents are light skinned. I'm from southern Egypt, but I'm not from America. I'm gonna give my perspective from somebody that's an immigrant here, if that makes sense.
That doesn't make sense.
It does or doesn't.
No, it doesn't. We're talking about race. You're talking about immigrants.
No, like I'm saying, I'm gonna give my perspective of somebody as from the outside. I'm not. So, my perspective would be, I think anybody that would prioritize like the culture and the communities and respecting that could be considered pro-black, but they have to do it the correct way.
That's all you had to say?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think dogs can fly too?
No.
I mean, what if I get on a plane with my dog?
And then the plane is flying and the dog is a passenger on it.
Okay. It's a good answer. So, you say no because you've never seen a dog fly, correct?
No, sir, I haven't.
So, have you seen a white person be pro-black?
You make a good point there. I don't think I could say yes or no to that because I think
saying no would make you feel like you're going to make someone uncomfortable. But yet, we have no evidence of a pro-black white community.
me saying yes or no would make somebody uncomfortable.
I think you saying yes would make you uncomfortable with how I respond, but I think saying no would actually make the status quo uncomfortable.
Well, my answer would lean more towards no in the first place, though, because there's a lot of people that consider themselves pro-black allies that aren't valuing or doing anything to benefit the black community in America. So I had to clarify that to you real quick.
I would say I I would say one doesn't exist. I've never seen one. If they did exist, it wouldn't matter. But I would say there's not one.
So
There's
I
not
want to know,
one.
if you don't mind, can I hear like your quick input on that?
On what?
On why they don't exist? Like if there isn't an individual who could consider themselves a white pro-black ally.
The, the most pro-black thing that they could do is dismantle racism. It's like saying what you're saying is like saying water could be flammable. You know what I'm saying? By
If
itself.
you put gasoline on it, yeah. So yeah,
By
not
itself. I know you're going to try to find some way around that. By itself, water is not flammable.
no.
Water
I just
puts
think
out
that's
fires.
the analogy. I'm getting what you're saying. You're saying the most they could do is dismantle racism. So you're saying they can't actually enter a community and benefit it.
Yeah. Well, they cannot. Pro-blackness is prioritizing. Priority. Number one goal, objective, prioritizing one's actions and values, what they do and what they believe, with what's in the best interest above self interest, above the interest of all other communities, what's in the best interest of building within the black community. You cannot build within the black community if you're not part of the black community, because as soon as they walk into our community and they start building, they're not building a black community because they themselves are not part of our community. So that immediately takes that away, right?
Yeah.
And then I have yet to see a white person whose priority was to build with black people and it not be harmful. All I'm saying is it comes down to it. They can be anti-racist because anti-racism doesn't require black people to even be around. They can be anti-racist by them damn self. And when it comes to racism, that is a white problem that affects black people, not the other way around. That is not our problem. Racism is not our problem. When black people are by themselves, racism is not a problem. Racism is only a problem when white people come around. So, that being the case, that is something they can address if they care about black people so much. Go be an anti-racist in your community. You see what I'm saying? Don't come around us trying to bring the picnic to the cookout.
You make a good point there. To that extent, I see what you're saying on the fact that, because I'll be honest with you. So I've seen like Asian communities in this country or Hispanic communities in this country, and they're not dealing with such problems as somebody attempting to say that they're pro their community outside of it and entering it, say, and basically like sabotaging it. From a neutral perspective, I can agree to see that a little bit, where there's plenty times in black neighborhoods in the history of this country where a white person came in and messed a lot of things up.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, and it just doesn't benefit us. The example I use is if a person walked out their house and they know they had a click clack pow in their closet, and they walked out their house and they see Freddy Krueger. Do you know what Freddy Krueger is?
Nightmare on Elm Street,
All
classic.
right. They see Nightmare on Elm Street. They see a woman running from him, and she's got red stuff all over her shirt. I don't want to say it because of TikTok. She got ketchup all over her shirt, and she's running, and she's like, "Help me, help me!" And she's running from Freddy, and Freddy's like, "I'm gonna get you, I'm gonna get you." And you see this happening. You have two choices. Either, and I'm narrowing it down to two choices to make the point. You have two choices. You can either go in your closet, get your click clack pow, and deal with Freddy, or you can run up next to the woman that's running and say, "Hey, how can I help you? What can I do to save you? What do you need help with?" And run with her. How does it benefit anyone in this situation to have someone try to come with them? And then on top of that, you have allegiance to Freddy in some sort of way to where now you're about to come hide with us. We don't need that. if anything, if you're gonna say you care so much, go handle Freddie yourself. You are the one with the click clack pow that Freddie is not chasing after you. Freddie doesn't have a 400-year vendetta against your people. You have actual privilege and power to where Freddie's not coming for you, and you have the power to do something about Freddie.
So is your analogy about a lot of people who are social media activists, basically, who haven't done anything to help out with any
Uh,
cause?
I don't look at social media activism as anything but entertainment and spreading awareness in some instances. But are you talking about non-black social media activists? I mean, I don't
Yeah.
expect, honestly, to be honest, we've been running from Freddie for so long that we now understand the person that's watching this whole thing go down is Freddie themselves. So we're not like the way people in my community look at this whole thing is we're not expecting them to come with the click clack pow at all because it's never happened. So
I
we're
got
just not counting on that. We're just going to keep focusing not on running from Freddie, but running to where we're going. How about that? We're just going to run to where we're building. Pro blackness is solutions for black people as opposed to focusing on problems in white communities that have been put on black communities. So that's the difference. Anti-racism is facing the problems. Pro-blackness is facing the solutions.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Well, I appreciate you letting me hop on here. Thanks for the
Okay.
discussion.
All right. Thanks for coming up.
Yes, sir.
Peace.
Peace.
All right. Next guest, uh, Janine Brown. Give us your age, your race, and your pronouns, please.
A white female, 63.
Okay. Go ahead, talk to us.
I'd just like to know, I'm an older woman and I grew up going to school with only two black people until I reached high school. And it
You
was
went to
during,
school with black people?
I went to school with two black people until
Where
I
are you
got,
from?
I'm from North Carolina.
You went to school as a child with
As a
two black
child
people?
through eighth grade with only two black people. And
Did you
then
like, did they have to like walk through a picket line?
No. I can tell you, I found out what racism was in the first grade. Whenever the girls on the playground got together and decided we were going to have bring dessert, and the black girl was named Teresa, and she was going to bring strawberries, and nobody ate her strawberries but me, and I knew then why. I knew why. And then when I went to high school, it was racial fights daily. I was scared to be there, to be honest with you. And I made friends. My mom had black ladies come into our home. We were on welfare, but she had black ladies keep me. So I grew up with black people. And I honestly can tell you, I'd like to know what we can do as a white people to make you feel like not all of us hate. I am not a hater. I love Jesus Christ. I love everybody that treats me well. And even those that don't treat me well, I want to help them. I want to know what's making you painful. What's making you so painful that you hate me? So tell me what I can do. As a person, I'm an underdog lover. If anybody's down and out, that's who I want to lift up. And I know that you guys have gone through systemic racism your whole life. I saw it as a 6-year-old on the playground. That's when I knew.
Sup, pussy on the face of the Bronx in the
Oh,
building.
come
Y'all
on,
niggas
man.
know
Don't come
what's
up here ruining this, man. Come on, she's talking, man. What kind
So
of weirdo? I'm so sorry about that.
that's okay. That's okay.
We're on the internet.
I know. My sister married a black man, and it just about tore my whole family apart. My husband told me I couldn't take my children around her. And after living with a man that told me what to do for 15 years, I drew a line in the sand and I said, they're my children too. Watch this. And 6 months later, my sister died. And I wouldn't take anything for the fact that that man was the best thing that ever happened to her. She was dying and he took care of her. He did everything he could to help her. And had I not stepped out, her own daughter wouldn't even come she was going to die. And I called her daughter and said, your mom's not going to make it through the night. Wouldn't even come to her bedside. But he and I stood side by side and prayed for her. And she died right there. And so,
You have to stop saying the D word. You gotta say unalive.
oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. This is my first time on live.
Uh-huh.
So I apologize. But I do have, I know I've got lots of black friends, and I
You
know
don't have any black friends.
you don't.
No, you don't.
Why you say that?
It can't exist. You can't have friendship. Martin Luther King says that negative peace is the what did he say? Negative peace is the absence of tension. Positive peace is the presence of justice. This is what Martin Luther King says. Negative peace, meaning forced peace. In the presence of violence, in the presence of oppression, when there is peace, it is just the absence of tension. Positive peace is the presence of justice. Until we live in a just world, you do not have friends. You have people that have sought to gain some sort of proximity to you because being in a proximity of someone in the status quo can grant them some sort of safety or feeling of safety, so that it disarms you from weaponizing your whiteness against them. That's something that we can do. But in an environment that is hostile towards black people, there is no friendship, even between black people in many circumstances. I would say almost most circumstances, unless you're somewhere in Africa.
So what can I do? What can we do? I mean, I know standing up. I mean, not standing up for you when people say racial slurs. I feel like that's my job, because if you don't stand up, you're with them. You're with that racist. So what can I do? My kids
Dude,
all stand up.
this is what I will say to you. That there was a thing back in the 60s and the 70s. They were doing this thing, Save the Whales. You remember that?
Yeah, yeah.
Did anyone ever talk to a whale and ask them how to save them?
No.
Did anyone talk to the trees and ask the trees how to stop the pollution in the ozone layer? No, they don't have to ask how to save when they are the problem. When we know that we were polluting the oceans that were unaliving the whales.
Right.
We know that we are the ones that cause the ozone layer to thin out. So you don't need to ask them. You don't need to come and ask us
Right.
how to solve a problem in your community. You need to go ahead and be the solution for what you see as injustice.
Right. I'm trying. You know, I am trying. And it hurts my heart. It hurts my heart to hear that. It hurts my heart to think that everybody, I don't think you think all of us are the same, but it hurts my heart because there are a lot of people out there that give us a bad name, giving me a bad name. Because I am
I would
not.
say that good and bad in the context of racism and anti-racism is the last thing you should be worried about, because whiteness is defined as pure, innocent, without spot or blemish. You are innocent till proven guilty. I don't have that privilege.
Exactly. I
All I
agree.
gotta do is walk behind somebody,
Exactly.
and it be so after sundown.
I got you.
So what I'm saying is, sometimes when you've internalized the identity of what it means to be white, you'll seek to remain good and pure more than address the nastiness of a situation. Sometimes you gotta get downright dirty, and so
Gotcha.
I
get you on that. I get you on that totally. And that makes me sad too. I mean, to see the police and the way it is. And this is something else that bothers me. I thought about this last night. I'm a college graduate, but I ended up cleaning houses for a living. I started a business, and I couldn't make as much money in my career after I graduated from college. So I just stuck with it for 35 years, and I'm just retired. And I thought about it last night, and I thought, how could I help someone, a black lady that's struggling to make it? Could she start a cleaning business? No, she couldn't, because half the people will not allow somebody like that into their home. It's so unfair. It's so unfair. I could never hire help to help
But
me.
that's what I'm trying to say. You trying to quote unquote help black people is not going to solve anything. Go and help your own people because they are suffering from an illness called racism.
Right.
That if you want to quote unquote care about black people so much, then address the illness that's coming from within the place where it started. Like go to where there's the problem. When black
Right.
people are by themselves, there is no racism. When white people are by themselves, there is still racism. Like they
Right.
still find a
Brother,
way.
who free you? Tell me who free you
Hold
from
on.
this?
All right.
Pardon?
So please don't interrupt. We don't do that here.
I'm pretty scrappy. I mean, like I live close to Greensboro, and I'll go to Walmart or something. And some redneck will have a flag flying, Civil War flag, and I'll say to them that offends me, and they just give me hell. I mean, they just give me hell. I'm like, I don't know what else I can do. You know, if you were doing something else that offended me, I'd tell you about that. So I feel like I'm trying. I am trying. My girls are 100%. I mean, they have educated me more, and college has educated me more. I didn't go to college till I was in my 40s, and I was in a class that educated me completely, and it was a racial class, and it was like the lady asked, "Have you ever been on welfare? Step forward." And at the end of this, I mean, a million questions, and there was only one white guy standing at the back of the line who had never had anything come against him, and that's when I realized white is, but it's a privilege. It's a privilege.
Are you racist?
No, not that I know of. I'm sure I mean, I think if somebody comes up to me and cusses me out and I'm like, what the hell? Yeah, I probably would be like, what's your problem? But as far as, I don't have hate from my heart for anybody. I really don't.
Do
Honestly,
you believe that racism is inherent to white people? Do you believe white people can be inherently racist?
that white people can be,
Inherently, not innately, not born.
that you inherit it from your parents. Is that what you're saying?
No, not inherit. Inherent.
What do you mean by that?
It
Define that.
means that as long as the system of racism persists as a social order in the world, a caste system built to oppress black people specifically, and all other races between black and white, as you know, a side effect. It is when a white person is born into this world without having to go to a classroom that they are still taught naturally
You're
to
better.
be racist. Is an essential part of the system for them to become a racist, whether they know it or not.
I think society lets them think they are. I think society lets them think they are. But I think I don't think anybody's better than anybody, but I think as a society, when a white person is born and a black person's born, that white person they have so much more going for them just because of the skin color. As far as the police, as far as education, as far as getting a job, I think absolutely. It's unfair. It's always been unfair. It shouldn't be. It sucks.
Mm-hmm.
It sucks. And I hate it for you. I do. Honestly, from the bottom of my heart, I hate it. I mean, I can just say the best I've done is raise 3 girls that stand up and they tell people in a hot minute, that's racist. Don't say that in front of me. Don't do it. I don't want to
Are
hear
your
that.
daughters racist?
Are my daughters racist? Heck no. Heck.
Why? How are you so sure?
Well, I know my youngest, she would fight you on the street if you said the wrong thing. Not you. She would fight somebody on the street that jumped on somebody black, and the black person might be wrong, and she'd jump in just because she wants to make a point. She wants to make a point. She wants to say, look, they've suffered long enough. It's time to back it up. My middle daughter.
Do you believe that to some degree all men are a little misogynistic?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I believe to a degree we're all racist.
So then why'd you say no?
That's what they taught me in this class. You know, that even though we think we're not, we might find ourselves. It's like, I'm not saying I'm racist against blacks because I've been around blacks my whole life. But as far as like, if I knew, like, we've got all these people flooding our country, if I don't know anything about you and you start talking to me, I'm going to be a little like, I don't know this person. You know what I'm saying? But I'm very comfortable in my skin around black people because I guess I grew up with, with my mom having a lady helping her, and my mom worked. My mom worked and we were on welfare and I had a babysitter. Now, how did she do that? My dad was nowhere in the picture, but I grew up with a black lady every morning getting me out of bed and being good to me. So I believe from the bottom of my heart, she brought her son over. We played together. I think there's something because I was raised differently. My mom never had a bad word to say, and neither did my dad. My dad, the N word was never in my vocabulary, ever. Ever.
But
Thank
when I asked you if men were misogynistic, you had no hesitation saying yeah.
Right.
So why do you think it doesn't work on a different intersection like race? That those that have privilege will have biases towards their own category in society. Their chauvinism.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I think you're probably right on that. I don't think most people will admit it. I don't think most people would want to admit it, but I think most people were raised. I think most people were raised by parents, and I do believe it goes to how you were brought up. I mean, racism isn't just you're not just born a racist. You're made a racist. Do you believe that?
I believe the only people that are not, I believe you're made a racist because no
Yes.
innocent child is going to have an idea of something as unnatural as racism. However, the only children that would be able to grow up in the world and not be socially conditioned to become racist would be someone like Tarzan or some child that was raised by like the wolves that lives out in like the woods somewhere. Like other than that, if you're raised in this society, then it's inherently going to become internalized because it's part of society that we live in. When I look at my doors, I see white supremacy. When I look at my television, I see white supremacy. When I look at my phone, when I look around me, just at all these man-made things that are my bed is a square. These are unnatural shapes that white supremacists, white men have decided are more efficient. But it's hard to hold my phone in my hand. It's kind of like an unnatural feeling object. And the part of the reason of that is because Europeans love straight lines. Why is why are doors rectangles? Like it would make more sense for them to be more round. You could fit more things through them. Europeans love straight lines. It's inhumane how straight everything is. We live in little boxes.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? That's
Yeah.
part of European architecture.
Gotcha.
But I'm saying that's how deep it is in our societies everywhere.
Right. Right. Well, I appreciate you letting me come on and your kindness and letting me speak because I've never been on before, but it really hurts my soul to think that that everybody thinks everybody hates. I don't hate. I really don't. My wish for you in life is to do better than me. You're a man, You're a man, and my wish for every person is to do the best they can do, no matter what. I have no, I'm not a rich woman, but I give to the poor, I give to the homeless, the people that don't have a stove or any way to eat. I make up bags and take them and put them uptown for them because that's my heart. And so my heart has always been for the little girl on the playground that nobody ate their strawberries. I'll never forget it. I'll never
All right.
forget it.
Well, thanks for sharing that story. We got a guest in the building, John Brown. Do you want to talk?
Yes, please.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, Jean Ann.
Yes.
Hi. I just wanted to say, it's not necessarily like taught at home. You could pick up, white supremacist talking points anywhere. I am actively anti-racist. My wife is. We teach our kids to be actively anti-racist, so that's good in the home. But even my daughter, as young as 8 years old, was going to school, and on the bus, a little white girl was teaching her white supremacist stuff. Like, she came home one day and she was standing there watching TV. I was in the other room. We were all talking, and she goes, "Ew, that's black. Ew." My radar went up. I go in there and I said, "What did you say?" "Oh, that's black people." I go, "Where did you hear that?" She was 8 years old. She didn't hear that in the house anywhere. And she picked that up and she goes to a multicultural school, but there was a little white girl on the bus teaching her, "Ew, that's black. Black people are this, black people are that." We are inherently racist because we pick it up from any white people.
Right.
They say there was a study done years ago that 6 out of 10 white people just admitted, these are just the people that admitted to believing at least one racist stereotype. So if I'm a little kid and I'm hearing these racist, say I have a birthday party and there's 50 people there, 30 of them just admit to believe in a racist stereotype. So that's all I need is the idiot next door with my, super racist uncle, and I'm hearing white supremacist talking points. I'm hearing stereotypes and jokes that are
Gotcha.
Anti-black.
Gotcha.
So yeah, we have to, when you educate yourself on the real history of this country, we have to unlearn it because they're all lies. Every single racist stereotype is a lie. But we've been pushing it in this country for hundreds of years.
So what,
Go ahead.
what do you do as an individual to, other than educate your children? What do you do around your friends except if there's stuff that said you don't like and you correct them? What else as a white man do you feel like we can do as a white people to?
Well, there's one. I mean, you call it out, and then there's plenty of family members I don't talk to anymore.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
they're not, they're low quality. They're
Exactly.
racist. You just don't mess with them anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah, you have to. And when you educate yourself on the real history of this country, and you have a unique opportunity on this app to listen to the experiences of Black Americans and like truly listen and not, like knock up them in a box, don't make comments, just sit there and listen. You hear some devastating things that we as white people never go through in this country.
I agree.
Because for us, our white skin will never be an obstacle for us in this country.
I agree. I agree totally.
So, yeah, I think it's, to read some, there's books, there's documentaries, there's all kinds of stuff you could, educate yourself on. And, because then it's not just, "Ooh, I believe this is wrong." You have the background to go, "No, this is a lie. These racist stereotypes are lies. They're untruthful." And you could combat that more especially with your, your friends and family that say that stuff.
Right.
I always listen for years. I mean, I listened to, other talk too, but I would listen to conservative talk. So I picked up their talking points because you keep your friends close and your enemies closer. And then I knew what the talking points were. And then I knew how to go at people in my life that talk like that. Because I despise the stereotypes.
Well, my daughters have said, my children will never be around anybody that says the N word or anything, racist. My daughters have just drawn a line in the sand. And I appreciate that. Because there are family members down the line who are still, in the woods. They're
Sure.
not educated. So I think that's the best we can do is to keep educating those or cutting them out of our lives so that our kids are more educated and they can pass it on to their kids. That's one thing. That's one thing I see we can do.
And racism isn't just a guy in a triple K uniform screaming racial epithets. Racism is us hearing the racist stereotypes. Because what happens when we're kids, in a white family, I grew up in a white neighborhood. they were never challenged. So when I become an adult, all of a sudden I had to look around and go, wait a minute, are all these, I challenged them. I said, these stereotypes, well, what is everything I heard about black people was like negative from white people. It was disgusting rhetoric.
Right.
And I challenged it and I educated myself, and it's all, it's a big lie. It's a big lie. For capitalism to have an underclass in this country. That's what we've always done. From the rhetoric of Thomas Jefferson, and it goes back even hundreds of years before him, but down, this country has always lied about Black Americans and the BIPOC community. So it's it goes deep.
You ever
I'll
see
just say-
you ever see that movie Body Snatchers?
Not yet, no.
No.
It's an old movies. Was the Body Snatchers? It's an old movie with like aliens. It's like from like the '60s, where like aliens come to Earth and they start taking over people's minds, and people start to say, this alien is in me, and I it's a good feeling, and you should try it. And one by one, the characters in the movie start to smile more, and they're happier, but it's because the aliens have gotten in their brains. And I think that movie's a good like metaphor for racism. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Not the aliens, the people that are trying to resist the aliens.
Right.
I think that's what Dr. Frances Cress Welsing talks about when she talks about racism. She sees it as a fear for survival of whiteness. Whiteness is afraid of a world that won't be white anymore, because if there was no racism, we'd all be getting along and getting it on, and you can't get it on with other people and still have a white lineage. The people wouldn't look like white people anymore.
They wouldn't be
And
superior. That's what they think.
be careful with the S word, but there are dominant traits and recessive traits. But at the end of the day, we're all people, so it shouldn't matter.
Exactly right.
And so, that's the thing. A fear of whitey. I don't want to say it on here on TikTok, but if y'all want to look it up, brothers and sisters, Dr. Frances Cress Welsing's Cress Theory. She authored a book called The ISIS Papers, and I think the Body Snatchers is a good way to look at that, because whether they're taught racism or not, that fear of one day the browning of America, they call it on the news. One day things will be all brown. Oh no, the body snatchers are coming.
I see what you're saying. Thank you so much. I've enjoyed this, and I appreciate your kindness, sir.
I followed you. You can follow me, and I hold lives talking about this deconstructing racism and white supremacy. So if you'd like to join me, that
sure.
would be great.
Yeah, he's the one to go to. Remember, I told you don't ask the trees
That's
how
right.
to save
That's
the
right.
forest.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right. Go to him.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate it, guys.
Right.
Bye now.
Have a good night.
All right. Thank you, John Brown.
Okay, no problem. Anytime. Thank you.
All right. Appreciate you. We'll go to the next guest. Everybody left now. Oh, okay. All right. So we got some people coming up here. We're going to continue the discussion back to black people. Hey, I wanted to give them a moment. You know what I'm saying? I ain't had nothing to do with that conversation. Shout out to John Brown for doing the bare minimum work that was required of him in that situation, because I definitely did not feel it is my place to educate anybody on how to stop what's going on in their community, but let them figure it out for themselves. You know what I'm saying? That's why you see me get real quiet. Let me figure it out for them. Let them figure it out for themselves. You know what I'm saying? But we did learn something in that little exchange right there, did we not? She would not admit that she was racist. You notice that. That is one thing. And every anti-racist I've ever come across that really was about that life to a drop, because they not doing really what they need to be doing to get racism the hell up out of here. But when they say they, actually will do that bare minimum critical thinking just enough to get to logic, they'll admit they're racist first. That's the first step, is admitting you are racist. Then you can take it from there. All right. I'm gonna go to the next guest. The Silent River. Give us your age, your race, and your pronouns.
43 years old, black male. And I'd kind of like to, put a little point to, can white people be pro-black allies? And, you might disagree with me, but my personal opinion is basically that for a white person to be a pro-black ally, I think is kind of a hard thing to do as a white person, because to be a pro-black ally, that means that when the police stop you on the road and you know you're drunk and that officer says to you, listen, as a white person, go straight home and don't let me catch you on the road again.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But if you're a black person, they're going to throw the whole book at you. So for a white person to be a pro-black ally, the reason why I think it's so hard is because you're going to have to say, nah, I'm drunk. I've had a drink. Treat me like you're going to treat everybody else. I've had a drink. I've had a drink. Arrest me. So how many people? And that's why I think it's hard on, and some people, the racist without knowing it because of that aspect. It's going to be hard for a white person to say, nah, don't give me the position. Give that black guy the position that's been here 5 years. I've only been here 2 months, because everybody's trying to make it. So racism is systemic. It's systemized. Like we say, children are taught it, but the system, before the children were taught it, the system was taught it. Like the adult white people was taught by the system, in order to control wealth, hold black people back. And that's kind of, what I'm trying to get to the point of a racism. It's not really a white person's problem. Do you know what I mean? Solely on, like the lady that came on, it's not her problem. She probably doesn't even realize how she's being racist, because like I said, when the police officer gives her a chance, you're going to take that chance and run with it. You're not going to say, oh, well, you wouldn't treat a black person like that, so treat me how you would treat them. You're just going to, if they done it to you, if you was on the road and you was drunk and the police officer said, listen, bro, go straight home and don't, don't, you're going to think, wow, I got, I'm lucky, what a good officer, man, is let me go. You're not going to say, well, I've had a drink, arrest me. Just put the law on me. You're going to accept that little handout, if you get what I'm saying. So it's hard for white people to determine racism at its depths. Yeah, against black and white. Oh, you're black this and you're white that. Yeah, I can understand that. But to actually combat the whole problem, remember racism started to control the distribution of wealth. It's like the caste system. The caste system was about controlling the distribution of wealth. Yeah, the Pathans and the this and that. They got the wealth. They were the jewelers. They were the diamond dealers and all that, so that they could keep the wealth. And this is partly where marrying cousins come. All these things that the royals do and certain groups of people do. It's about protecting wealth. Do you get where I'm coming from? So it's
It's not
kind
just about wealth.
it's not.
That's part of the puzzle, but it's not the whole picture. Because if it was just about wealth, then the royal family wouldn't just be white people. They would just marry whoever they wanted to marry and keep the wealth in the family. Why
No,
does it
but
have to be a white
but
family?
like I said, it wasn't. It's not just about a family. It's about a race of people, and it racism. So the white
No, but I'm
people are trying
saying
to
it's not
keep the.
just about wealth. Because if they were trying to just hoard the wealth, it wouldn't matter the color of the people in the family. So what I'm saying is, at the end of the day, it is about more than just keeping money. The reason racism exists is because of something Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, like I was saying to the guest before you, it is a fear of a world that doesn't look so white and bright. That's the innate fear that racism was created out of, and a justification for the enslavement of African people and the colonization of non-white people worldwide led to the creation of what we now call social and institutional racism. So that's the reason for the systems. But as far as whose problem it is, I would say that when something is a problem, it is the problem of the person that created the problem in the first place. Like, the only people that can fix racism is the people that created it in the first place. So what do we look like trying to solve something we can't fix?
But I understand that, but it's the same with the system. How are we trying to get involved in something that was designed for us not to be involved in?
I advocate for not getting involved in the system.
How? But we have to be. The only way we can't be involved in the
That's thinking
system.
like a slave, what you just said.
No, the only way we can be outside the system is if we solely exist without any aid from the system.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So if we're taking any kind of aid, any kind of food, medicine, shelter, anything,
Mm-hmm.
we're being aided by the system. So the only way to come out of the system is totally remove yourself from the system, my brother.
Absolutely. That's what we doing. Absolutely. Hey, shout out to Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso, and all of those on the continent, brothers and sisters, that's operating without the system and building their own damn system. That's what we doing. Absolutely.
Yeah, 'cause I'm not trying to disagree, and you know, I'm not trying to disagree with what you're saying. I agree with what you're saying, but I think, we've all got a part to play in it, man. We've all got a part to play. And like how you said, we can't tell the white people how to solve the problem in their community, then don't you think the same should be said to us? Don't we need to go away and deal with what's wrong in our community and not look to, find a way out through somebody else then, other than our own actions and our own behaviors then? We could put the shoe on our own foot as black people and,
Yo,
start
you sound like Marcus Garvey.
taking it.
Absolutely. This is what we doing. This is what we doing, y'all. It's on us. Absolutely.
Man. You know what I mean? Because look, how can if black people are the majority out there really on the planet, right?
Yeah.
So how's the minority got into this position if we're the majority?
You said how did we get to this position?
Yeah, how did we end up? So we gotta look at our own accountabilities as to why.
Oh, no. That's not
Racism.
accountability. What you just said is not group responsibility. That is blame. That is blame. That is something different. Let's keep the nuance. There's a difference between accountability, group responsibility, and blame. When you blame black people for their own mistreatment, once again,
No,
you are
I'm not blaming black people for their own mistreatment.
On the victim.
I'm not blaming people for their own mistreatment, but it's things like, we've built ourselves up in the system now a little bit more than back in the 60s, isn't it? Would you agree?
No.
You don't think so?
No.
Okay. Well, I don't know. I don't know how to carry on from there. If you don't think so, I think we've progressed a little bit from the 60s.
There are more black people in chains today than there ever were in any time of human history.
I said it again. Sorry, I didn't catch that.
There are more black people in chains and behind bars than there ever has been in human history.
But are we still getting lynched and hung in trees and working 3-4 days a week for white people before we could have wages? That's what was going on in the 50s and 60s.
All of that.
Yeah, still going on.
Yes.
That's
Free
what's happening to
Congo.
white people as
Kanala
well,
Pop
then.
Campaign. Free Sudan. There's plenty of that going on. Free Libya and free the Africans in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, we can. I hear where you're going, and I agree with that. I'm not even disagreeing with that, but I'm just trying to keep. You're in America, and I'm in England. I'm not in any of them other countries, so my racism doesn't reflect what racism they're going on with. And if me personally wanted to help, I'd have to go out there to help. I wouldn't scream it from England. I'd try and go and actually help. So I'm
There's a
trying
lot
to
of things you can do.
understand the situation from
There's a
where
lot of
I
things you
am.
can do to help, but you're not focused on solutions. You're focusing on trying to find a way to pin the problem on black people.
I'm
That's what it
not. You
sounds
reckon
like.
I'm trying to pin the problem on black people?
What I'm saying is, when you talk about black people in this scenario, when you were talking about solutions earlier, I'm sending you hand claps.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're talking about problems, and that is not helping anything.
Understood. I can appreciate that. I can appreciate that, host. Trust me. I really can. I can appreciate that.
All right. Let me
Yeah.
go to the next guest. I appreciate you.
Go for it, brother.
All right. One love.
Peace.
All right. Next guest, Capri. Give us your age, race, and pronouns, please.
We need to get rid of Black History Month.
Wasn't on. I had to laugh at that. But I'm a woman, married 32 years, be 33 years next month. Well, this month. What else you asked? Location?
No. I said age, race, and pronouns.
Oh, I'm a woman.
Okay.
A,
Uh,
a, a real woman that birthed
oh
children.
man, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do
Well,
that.
listen,
Don't
nowadays you
do
have to be.
that. Don't do that. Don't even do that. Don't do that. Just
Okay,
go.
I
Just go. All you had
apologize.
to say was she, he, they, and because you black, I would have let you get away with women. But then when you start going against other people, now it gets weird. Like, don't do that. Go
No,
ahead.
I
Just
don't.
talk.
Listen, I am not homophobic at
Yes,
all.
you are. You just
I
said
have
that. You didn't have to
my
say that
daughter.
though.
My daughter is gay. There's no way I can be a
But yeah, yes,
homophobic.
that don't mean nothing. There's white women that say they got black children, they not racist, but then they'll turn around and say, I'm not racist because my daughter is black, and they'll do the most racist thing to you. Come on now.
All right.
Go
Well,
ahead.
what's all right? I shouldn't have. I correct myself when I'm wrong.
I knew
But
this was gonna go somewhere. Go
okay,
ahead.
the thing
Go
that I
ahead. Go
wanted.
ahead.
I'm
I'll let you
sorry.
talk. Just go ahead.
The, the thing that I wanted to talk about was what the woman had said, and she was saying she was raised in a home where she had a nanny, and our similar stories was sort of the same. I was trying to hold on to it, because I had a white tea French woman in my home, and she helped teach my children French. And she would do light chores around the house because we both worked, and she would pick them up from school sometime and things of that nature. Do you think that I was looking for a YT woman to teach my children French, or do you think I just looked for someone who was available at my price?
I don't know. Why are you asking me?
No, because the lady has said it. The lady that was on here, the nice lady that was on there before, you know, you know the guests that you have on here. But
What she say?
anyway, huh?
What she say? She wasn't French.
No, I know she wasn't French, but
You
she
talking
said
about Miss
she,
Bessie? Miss Bessie,
um,
who said she not racist because her maid was black?
right, her, she said that. But so what? The figure my maid was. I was waiting for a long time for you to get back to me, but she cut off. My housekeeper, I don't call them maids. Our housekeeper was a YT woman, and we didn't see anything wrong with it. She was a person.
You
Just
also didn't enslave her people. Did she have an African last name or something?
No. She was
Okay.
she was
Is your last name African?
oof. My last name is not African.
Is your last name European in any sense?
Yes.
Okay, so even though she was cleaning your house, she has a power over you that you don't have over her.
Well, how is that?
I just told you how. I just showed. Did I not just explain? She don't have an African last name. Your people did not oppress her people for 400 years.
No, and I get it.
You You have a European last name. Her people did that to you, and that's the reason you have a last name of her ancestors and not the other way around. So even though there's a one-off instance where she's cleaning your house, I still don't see what this has to do with racism. You said didn't see nothing wrong with it. I wouldn't see nothing wrong with a frosted female cleaning my house either, to be honest.
Okay.
See,
That's
see,
all
Queen, the thing is,
that's the question that I had wanted to ask that lady, but she's not on no more. So, but
I
she,
know I wouldn't pay her to clean my house. I mean, that's up to you. I would. I mean, if anything,
I
I
mean,
would pay. I would pay a brother or a sister with a cleaning business to clean my house because then I'm at least putting money in the hands of one of my people. And I know, brother and sister, we gonna clean that house right. You know what I'm saying? But if
yeah,
you
but
gonna have one of them clean your house, then cool. I ain't paying them because then they get to know what it feel like.
we looked, my husband and I, we looked for a black woman. We looked for African. We looked for French, French and Creole because we wanted our children to speak that language. You get what I'm saying? And they was very young at that time. So it
Why
wasn't
did
a
you want your children to learn that European tongue?
the world that's out here today, you need to know multiple languages to get into, certain jobs. You get what I mean?
You
So
get a
it
certain
had to,
jobs with you get a certain jobs with non-European languages too.
yeah, but I wanted them to be multi-fluented. Like my son, he speaks Russian. My son speaks French. My son speaks Arabic. My son
So he
speaks
speak everything but
Russian.
an African language.
Yes, he does. He speaks I can't think of the name right now because it's just too much. He speaks too many languages. He speaks Cantonese. He speaks Chinese. He speaks Thai language. You get what I'm saying? So he treats he that's what I wanted for him to be able to be fluent so he's not ignorant to what somebody else is saying. As for my daughter as well, she speaks multiple languages, and I thank God. I mean, I don't see anything wrong. When you're teaching your kids a language that somebody will take the time out to actually teach your kids, it's not that easy. And to be square and honest with you, the African women that I wanted to hire, she didn't want to do it. She
I feel like honestly in everything you said, I just feel like there's a little bit of black resentment in there. I feel like
I
I have a good radar for these things. And I feel like somewhere deep down you want to tell me how white people treat you better.
no 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 no. I'm
Because
not
I
gonna
just feel
say
like
that.
you keep saying like black women didn't want to help me, black people didn't want to teach my children, they didn't want to clean my house. I had to get a white woman. Like this, it's giving that. Like I'm just waiting. Like it's just
But it's not
you
because
kind of dancing around it.
no, I wish I could dance around it. I really could. I really wish I could
All
bring
right.
those papers out from 2018 when I was looking. Hard papers. We was doing background checks,
I don't
full
know how it's so
background check.
hard. I could find you a French speaking black woman right now.
But are they
Multiple.
willing to take the time to teach? You get what I'm saying?
I don't
And
think it's
in
that.
what
I honestly,
price?
sister, I
And
don't
then
think it's that
at one
difficult.
price.
I don't think
What
that's that difficult. I really don't. But if you want to use that as a justification, say you couldn't
if
find them, then it's okay. But why are we
it was
talking
the
about this? Is my thing. Like we're up here talking about can white people be pro black allies? Can interracial marriage Is interracial marriage problematic, and can white people peacefully coexist with non-white people? Why are you bringing this up?
Oh, I was bringing it up because I told you what the lady was saying.
We ain't say nothing about teaching children.
No,
We ain't
she
say nothing
said
about this.
she had somebody teaching her kids or cleaning her house or whatever. It was so many
She
topics
said
that
she
went
had a
by.
black woman cleaning her house.
Oh, okay.
And she said that's the reason she not racist, because a black woman clean her house. And I think that's racist. Am
Yeah.
I wrong? Like,
See, Queen. The thing is that having a higher amount of green in your bank account
Right.
doesn't magically remove you from being susceptible to YT supremacist like power structures and dynamics. Like that doesn't just like literally LeBron James. It was all over the news what happened to him. Like just because he's a multimillionaire didn't prevent his house from being vandalized with a racial slur. Like there is no amount of money in which black people can accumulate through YT supremacist systems to be able to magically dive into some brand new like economic or wealth category that makes you no longer susceptible to racism. Like that's still very much so going to be a thing.
If I could give my 2 cents, brother.
hold on just a minute. You got some people before you. We are gonna move to the next guest.
Absolutely. Sorry about that.
Write it down or something. Don't forget. Don't forget. All right.
You can drop me and I'll still just listen. I know it's a lot of people wanting to touch
Okay,
this.
Capri.
Thank
Okay.
you, but I
All right.
appreciate you so much.
All right. Have
And
a good
thank
one.
you for listening, everybody.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Kit Kat, what's going on, sister?
Hey, Brother Legend. I was just gonna go down the list, but I need a minute, so they can go first.
Okay. By all means,
Okay,
give us your age, race, and pronouns, please.
I am 43, brother. I'm as black as our ancestors, and my pronouns are he, him.
All right, talk to us, King.
In my humble opinion, this is only my opinion. You are a tap dancing Negro if you date outside your race. And when you tap dance over there, I hope you stay. You are not allowed back in the community. To me, if you come from a black woman, you derive from your ancestral trace comes from a black woman, and you intentionally marry someone outside your race. I don't want to hear you pro-black. I don't want to hear you love the culture. I don't want to hear your black ass say Happy Black History Month. You don't get to say nothing that acknowledges your melanin from that day forward. Go on with your amber. Go on, stay over there wherever you at. I hope you in the suburbs treat you well, but you are not welcome back into the community. I don't want to hear nothing about no seasoning. You don't get to say shit that mentions melanin. And I mean this. There are a lot of black men who through unconscious or subconscious thinking, there are a lot of brothers.
Stop talking.
Rock, no, Rock, you're not gonna do that. You're not gonna attempt to interject.
I got rid of him. Somebody,
Thank you.
I don't know what. I couldn't mute that person, but keep going by all means.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. I understand there are some tap dancing Negroes among us. Listen, at the end of the day, we are assigned a task by our ancestors, right? We are in this godforsaken month of Black History Month, and the reason I label it that way is I don't seek no white person's validation on what month I can celebrate my ancestors, so they can go on and kiss my ass with this month, right? This is a all year long thing for me, and there are a lot of black men, unfortunately, who subscribe to the idea that white is better, and as long as they believe that white is better, they cannot complain about the white man's oppression. There are a lot of black men that will tell you the white prosecutor is on their back. The white cop is on their back. The white judge is on their back. You turn around and complain about your oppressor and turn around and go home and do the same shit to the black woman. And then you accuse that which you oppressed of being masculine or angry or bitter. Right? We talk down to these sisters, and then when they start to defend themselves, we call them everything but their God-given name. Right? Not understanding or accepting our part of the responsibility that created the women that we claim to not want to date. So if she became a single mother, I always ask brothers, if you say she chose wrong, okay, that may be true, brother. But where was the father of the poor choice? Okay? We cannot continue to blame black women for making poor choices in the community, and we never seek to understand and accept responsibility for the fact that that poor choice did not have a father. Where was his daddy at? What was his mother out there doing that she raised this Negro to be a poor choice in the community? So that's all I want to say, brothers and sisters.
Absolutely. And we don't call them single mothers. We say it's a fatherless home because the onus is on the man that chose that to make that choice. And I appreciate you everything you said, brother. That's B1.
Well, actually, real quick, brother. What I wanted to just acknowledge is that the king that just spoke, he is like I need to encourage everybody to go follow him because not that long ago he did a video where he's very much so advocating for the medical care of black women, advocating for and by all means correct me if I'm mistaken in this, but are you trying to start an organization with that focus as well?
Brother, listen, man, I'm actually humbled that you even mentioned that, man. If I can just touch on that real quick, while we all in here, black folk, and we all gather together, please understand, sisters, the only advice I can give you going forward is if he cannot commit to you, that child don't stand a chance. So do not give your body to a black man based on his promises, based on his words, because the one thing we do well, sister, is we will write your ass a Hallmark card and hope you accept the flowers. Okay? Listen to me. If I cannot commit to you long term through marriage or through some other form of partnership, again, that baby that I begged you to have don't stand a chance in hell. So understand, sister, you should not be giving birth by yourself. You should not be going to these appointments by yourself. You should not be struggling for me to communicate better or have better emotional intelligence. You shouldn't be begging for things that should come naturally to me to want to do better for you and the child that I then pleaded and begged for you to have. Thank you for mentioning that, brother. It's an important topic.
Absolutely, King. Yeah, everybody, please go support.
Yeah, we definitely following you, brother. That is amazing what you just said because that's what my whole platform is about. Supporting black love, putting black people together, and I definitely me and Timothy both have had talks about black masculinity and what our role is as black men in our communities. A lot of us don't even know what our role is supposed to be. We've been so jaded by society and what the lies that have been told about us and what we've internalized. So absolutely, we have to start committing to our sisters. We know that a predictor for economic disparities within our communities is a woman that is unmarried and has a child. When a woman is unmarried, a black woman is unmarried and has a child by herself, she has to economically provide for that child by herself, and that is a predictor for poverty. She's almost like 80-90% going to end up in the hood in poverty, and the child is going to witness that, and that is not healthy for our next generation. We need more brothers to commit. So
sorry.
Real quick, I wanted to also say, brother, that we have started an organization. You can check out the link in my bio. We have a Discord with over 500 Pan-Africans. We do more than just talk on this app. Timothy is part of that organization as well. B1initiative.org. We are a remote community of Pan-Africans around the world doing things in technology. We're building a website called Sankofapedia, which is an Afrocentric online encyclopedia for Black children, Black people to learn about their history and their ancestors from the words of the scholars all in one place and learn how they were connected, most importantly. So we're assembling that as well.
Brother, we are the only, correct me if I'm wrong, we are the only race of men who, when we love on our women, we are called panderers or simps. When we offer any type of provision or protection that's non-monetary, we are called simps and panderers. Every other culture can love on their women and offer protection outside of monetary value, and they are called leaders, right? The one thing that I try to get some brothers to understand is you will never enter into a happy union. You will never enter into a proper relationship with a black woman until you divorce one thing first. If you don't divorce this one thing first, you will always enter the white man's divorce. You must divorce your ego, brother. You must remove ego from your relationship, because if you do not, ego is the black man's first love. We don't even understand that. It is our first serious committed relationship, right? It is the one thing that we refuse to let go of. It is literally the shadow of our existence, and we refuse to be corrected by that which understands us most, and that's the black woman. But again, we will walk in, we will clock in at 9 o'clock. White man tell your ass to jump all day long for that paycheck every 2 weeks. He don't get no pushback. You don't call him feminine. You don't say nothing to the white man. Mr. Charlie on your back all day. But as soon as you get home and she say, brother, I need you to communicate better. I need you to provide better. I need you to correct this behavior. All of a sudden, she's the problem. She gets all your hatred and your anger. And then you wonder why she clams up and she becomes you. She takes on character traits that you are supposed to have. And you demean her and you degrade her and you talk down to her. And then after you beat the sister down, this is the final nail in the coffin. You go choose a white woman because you said she was better for you. Ain't that some shit? Again, and I'm going to say this and I'm going to hop off, brother. In my humble opinion, for some black women, some black men are the new slave master. And I say it every day because the slave master would often go into the field and pick the most vulnerable slave, do with her what he chose to do, and then toss her back out there. Now we got to remember there were a lot of male slaves standing around when the slave master did this. Afraid of the consequences of saying something and doing something to protect that sister. These are Negroes today.
Yeah. And you're right when you said throw them back out there, because the divorce rates between white women and black men are the highest of any interracial relationship. So they definitely doing what they want to do with us and throwing them back, throwing them back out there. And they not even staying with the children, because biracial children are filling up the adoption agencies and stuff like that. So that is another thing, you know what I'm saying? A lot of them think that they can have their biracial child and then just give it up for adoption and go back to doing what they want to do. But appreciate you, brother. Thank you for coming up here, spitting those facts, dropping those gems, man. All right. And I definitely follow that, brother. I hope to see more from him. Maurice, could you give... Oh, wait, hold on. Before we go to Maurice, Kit Kat, you ready for us yet?
Really don't too much want to follow that. That was amazing. I'll just run through these real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
But yeah, so no, white people cannot be pro-black ally. You know what? I'm gonna say no. Okay. I want to say because. What does that mean? So that means that they're not trying to be pro-black, but they're just trying to be allies to black people that are pro-black? Like, what is it?
I don't know what it means either. I don't even know what it, like, I don't know how that can work. That's like saying, can you be a vegan that drinks milk? Like, I don't...
Right. Okay. So I'm gonna just say no. And is interracial marriage problematic? It most definitely is problematic. We talk about it all the time, but just on my end, basically is one thing that it's not is just really beneficial to our community. So I do know that. I feel like it kind of gets in the way. One of the biggest things though to me is that the biracial black children that are the product of those relationships like they struggle. You know what I mean? I was just on another panel. I think it was Dee's panel actually. It was like a whole panel of biracial women just like telling their stories about how they have to deal with the racism and stuff within their families, like from their white tea families, how they their mothers kind of made them feel like they were better than the rest of the community, how they like had to deal with stuff surrounding their hair and textures, and like we're told they were prettier, but at the same time like they never were able to like really connect with who they were, really connect with other Black people. It's like a whole group of Black people. I mean, in a sense, a lot of us are lost, but it's just, I mean, this is just like in this situation kind of like lost because of it. I do think that that's super problematic, right? And you take this group and you kind of like you weaponize them like against their own community. And then we have all of the issues that we've always dealt with, like, you know, colorism, things like that. But it just adds layers to it. But yeah, I think it's problematic. I think it's not beneficial to the community, which makes it problematic to me. The last one, are white tea people peaceful, or can they peacefully coexist with non-white tea people? I'm gonna just say history speaks for its for itself. That's a no for me. Okay. That is it. But yeah,
All
I
right.
followed that gentleman too because yeah, that was great.
Yeah, I'm telling you, there's brothers out there. We exist. A lot of the brothers that talk like him don't go on TikTok live and do all this social media and all this other stuff because, it's a lot of brothers. Honestly, at one point, I was too afraid to come up here and put myself out there like that. You know what I'm saying? You never know how you're going to be received, even by your own community,
Yeah.
because being pro-black means you start to see that a lot of people in your own community are not pro-black. You know what I'm saying?
Right. But it's
But
good that you did, because the people in the community that don't know that they're not pro-Black, like they need to understand why. Because a lot of things is like they don't even understand how it works. Like
right.
I didn't even understand how it works, so I am not in a position to judge anybody. Like I thought I was just automatically pro-Black, but that's not really how it works. You know what I'm saying? I was one of those people too who probably would have answered yes to a lot of these questions before, knowing better. You know what I mean? You just go through your everyday life, you saying stuff, you talking stuff amongst each other, and then you go out into like corporate world and things change, and you think that you have friends, and then it's like, girl, get it together, like wake up. You know what I mean? So it really took lives like this to like kind of give me a safe space to really talk and learn and understand. Somebody said in the comments when the last lady was up that if you are transphobic, then you can't be pro-Black. And I just wanted to say really quickly that that is very true. I did come up because she was talking in the beginning, because I am a part of the community, and I do need people to know that like you can't choose to be pro-Black with only, you know, X, Y, and Z and then exclude the rest. That's just not how it works, right? So I just wanted to speak on that and say that that definitely was.
I judge black people by their willingness to unify, and I judge white people by their willingness to self-reflect, their ability to self-reflect. I judge black people by their ability and willingness to unify. If you are too homophobic, transphobic, whatever you got going on, some type of bias that the white man has taught you, then you don't need to be building with us. You can go somewhere else. If you put your LGBT identity in front of your blackness and don't identify with your own community, or you put your nationality, or you put the language you speak. I'm Dominican. If you do all of that type of stuff, then I'm sorry, we cannot build with you. But
Yeah.
everybody that understands they are a black African
Oh no,
and we
no.
need to come
Just to
together,
talk on that part.
then
Can you
we're
wait, sir, please? Thank you.
everybody that understands that we as Africans have
Um,
one job. We got one job. All right, Rax, you gotta go. You're a
I want to
disruptor.
hear what he got to say.
I wish I could, but whenever I let disruptors like that just keep going, they end up doing something to get me kicked down. But Whoever understands that Africans have one job in this world to reverse all the years of oppression, we got
Yeah.
one thing that we never did. And we did it in America, we did it in the West first. But we need to take it to the continent. We need to actually complete it. Complete the cycle. We have one thing: unify. The reason that the Europeans were able to divide us and conquer so easily is because we were not unified. We have one job, y'all, to come together. I don't care what sexuality, what identity, secondary to blackness. I don't care about who you vote. If you understand that pro-blackness and black consciousness is the rejection of white supremacy and the retention of Africanity, then let's unite on that front. That's it.
Period. I definitely will say that my blackness, me being a black woman, comes before everything else. I was a part of your life too. We talked about the letters, the alphabets. Yeah, you was right about that too. But yeah, that definitely comes first.
Absolutely.
But I do want to say that is a part of unifying. So that's why.
And yeah, it is. It sure is.
Yeah, but thank you.
Well, thank you
All
for
right.
coming up,
Well,
sister. Appreciate you. All right. Shout out to all my sisters out there, descendants of my ancient mother, made in their likeness. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to all my sisters out there, the creators among us. You know what I'm saying? The creator energy flows through your melanin. All my sisters with their natural hair and they melanin glistening in the sun. We love y'all. Shout out to my brothers. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to all my brothers that protect their sisters. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to all my brothers that have built platforms to educate other brothers, to learn to protect them sisters and learn knowledge of self, man. Much love to y'all. If you a king and you out there doing that, then keep doing what you're doing. We're going to go to the next guest. Maurice, give us your age, race, and pronouns, please. Maurice, are you here? Maurice Party. I think your name is Party.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, 62. I'm white. I'm heterosexual. But my personal view is I'm 62 years of age. I've seen a lot of things go through the years. And I think at the end of the day, we should all unite. And if we can all just become as a one, we can then fight the system, what is literally creating the major problems of it all. Because at the end of the day, the way I've seen things go through 62 years.
White nigga, man, from the UK. There ain't no white niggas in the UK,
Why
man.
y'all
Only them
let this
Princeton
man
bullies.
back up?
I don't care. Interactual marriages, you just can't. How can I put this? You can't help who you fall in love with. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you're black, white, pink with blue spots. At the end of the day, for me, gay, single, doesn't matter. I just think all of us should literally try and unite to make this place a better world than fighting amongst ourselves like the media wants us to.
Do you think if we all united, white people would still exist?
At the start of the planet, what was the major actual colour of a race? But going back thousands of years, or should I say, right?
You don't have to
So
go back that far. You gotta go back 6,000 years. Everybody was
yeah,
black.
or more. Even go back way back when, and when really, for me, colour doesn't exist because we all bleed the same.
I hate it when y'all say that. I hate it when y'all say that because why do we gotta bleed to be the same?
No. I don't mean that in the sense of bleed, but in some respects, my blood could save someone else's life who's totally different to me, and they could save my life just the same. I think we should all just unite, because I've seen so many things over here in London back in the 70s when racism was rife. I just saw just total negativity, and it just
Are you a
wasn't.
racist?
Hell no.
How do you know?
How do I know? Because I don't judge people unless I speak to a person. Doesn't matter who they are. I've got to get to know them before I can judge. Because if you try and judge a person just on their colour and their race and religion, then you don't know that person at all. It's like I've listened to you, and there's a lot of things I actually agree with you with, because at the end of the day, yes, the white people literally did suppress the black people. And that only happened because hang on, please listen. Let me finish, then you might. Like in America, the white people were suppressing the black people, using them as slaves. Now, the white people were teaching them kids, their kids, that the black people are a minority and should be suppressed. And because they're following their parents, it carries on a cycle. Now, I'm lucky enough that I didn't go through that cycle, and I was able to make my own mind up what I wanted to know and what I believe. And my beliefs are everybody's equal to me.
So what are you doing to end racism?
Huh?
What are you doing to end racism?
I try and keep out of racism because I don't think racism to me, yeah, it does affect me in some ways because in our community there are all different nationalities, and yeah, it goes both sides. But I don't. If someone says something wrong to me, I don't react to it. I just turn away and walk away. I won't react to it because if you react, all it does is make things worse.
You lose your privilege.
Yes, yeah, because at the end of the day, we've all got to try and coexist. And if we can't coexist, all we're doing is fighting each other.
But you benefit from racism, no?
Not me, no. I am over here classed as low income, so I am just a run of the mill person.
In a capitalist world, I understand that. I understand that people think only in terms of money when we talk about benefits.
Right.
But you're telling me you get treated the same as me, a 6'4" black man with
over here, when it comes to where I am in what we would call the social I forgot the word now. In social stance, black man, as you would like to put it, gets treated the same as I do when it comes down to like benefits and all that sort of thing. But when it's come to work, when it's come to
black people,
do
you think that poverty is the only way black people feel oppression?
No.
Okay. So
no. I think they've been feeling suppressed, not just through poverty, but I also think that where media portrays a lot of things, some of it is just a load of crap. It's a case of divide and conquer. If you divide a situation and get two parties to go against themselves, then that person who's or government, shall I say, has got that going there, so they can do their thing behind, so no one's looking.
What is your idea of a of a society that has fixed racism? What would that look like?
Much better than what it is today.
What would have to happen? What would you see in that society? What would have to happen?
Um, a lot more just equal justice for everyone. Because a lot of over here, even though people say it doesn't happen over here, yeah, it does happen over here. Suppression.
If society were fair and equal, what country do you think would be like the richest country? Like if society were fair and equal and everything was an even playing field, do you think America would still be a wealthy country? Do you think the UK would still have its wealth?
Right. UK is just a small island. And the only reason why the UK is sort of powerful as such is because where we are situated. But if you're talking about African countries, Nigeria has got one of the fastest growing economies globally at this present time and moment. But there is still, wherever you go, it doesn't matter what country you go to, if it doesn't matter if it's South Africa, Nigeria, Ghana, Zimbabwe, UK, France, Germany, you name it, wherever you go, there is always going to be corruption what topples it all.
Okay, but here's my thing. Corruption, that whole line is bullshit because the corruption only exists because of the Western interference in Nigeria.
Yeah. I'm not disputing that fact. I'm just saying, as a whole, not as just one, as a whole.
But because I'm saying, in all of these countries that you name, my idea of a society where anti-racism wins would mean that the United States would crumble. The United States would
definitely.
Definitely. And the richest countries in the world would all be in Africa because that is where the world gets its resources.
Correct. And that's why I was saying corruption goes on both sides, not just on one. It's got to work two ways or it doesn't work at all. Okay? Now, for me, for racism as it goes, as I said, I don't entertain it because that isn't me. As I said, I judge a person as they are, and if we get on, we get on. If we don't, then we don't. But I'm a person who says, I'll give you one chance. Mess it up, that's it. And I've had that policy for 50 odd years, and it's never failed.
Yeah, but see, the problem is that Black people have given YT people that chance time and time again. And learning Black African history, we can see that that's exactly what we did time and time again.
Of course. I do understand. I mean, I've got friends of different nationalities, and I've known. Well, I've got three out of five of my friends. Three of them are from different descents, and I've known them all for over 30 odd years. And so, for me, I'm just a person who just wants to get along, try and make things, if I can, better for people, and that's it.
Understood. But again, the problem is that, the sentiment of saying, hey, let's all hold hands and get along sounds nice. But
I know. But in practice,
the systems of YT supremacy still very much so exist.
Yeah, of course.
The only way for all of that.
They got him up out of here.
Gotcha.
We're not even supposed to be taking gifts, y'all. I don't know why y'all supposed to be sending to Donald to bring down Babylon because
coin cotton.
Yeah, listen. I still don't know who made this up. Nobody ever DM'd me who came up with the coin cock because there's a small nuance between a coin cock and a coon cock. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I need to know who started that whole thing. But you know what I'm saying? But no, I appreciate y'all either way. Appreciate y'all. Let's go to the next guest. Big Bam. Give us your age, race, and pronouns. There wasn't much to learn from that last guy. That's why I don't know what to say to him. Go ahead.
35. I'm black.
All right.
He, him.
Talk to us.
So I just wanted to address what that other gentleman just said about corruption. Because that was a highly false statement. Especially when it comes to the context that you were speaking of. Manipulation 100% plays a big part. And why the corruption is one way, right? So if you colonize a people and then you indoctrinate and condition the people to consumerism, and then you turn around and offer them money, you have manipulated their decision-making skills, right? And they won't even realize that the money you're offering them doesn't mean anything compared to the resources that you're getting from them. This
Right.
is evident. You know what I'm saying? This is evident in the colonization of Africa, also the colonization of America. If you know the story of Manhattan, right?
Yup.
That's like one of the biggest jokes. And I say that loosely. I don't mean it comically, but it's one of the biggest hoaxes. If anybody doesn't know that story, definitely look up the story of in Manhattan. So they definitely understood that. That's why the corruption doesn't go both ways. It's definitely a one-sided thing. And it's evident in every place that has been colonized by the Europeans. And I understood exactly what you were saying. Due to resources, due to manpower, due to even literacy, right? If you know where knowledge came from, if everything was an even playing field, the UK, Europeans in general, America was everything would topple outside of Africa. So I don't think that people like him, when they say that, or when they have this premise that like, oh, we should all unify. You don't understand that you're really telling black people overlook everything that was done to you and then just come together with us because we didn't do it. Just like, no, you don't understand what we fighting for. We're not fighting to just get back and be equal to y'all. We really should run. No mind, because I don't want to sound too radical. You know what I'm saying? But
No,
you know
you
what
ain't
I'm
too
saying.
radical in this live. We followers of Khalid Muhammad up in here. So
You see what I'm saying? Like
yeah.
we really should.
Yeah.
You know
It's
what I mean?
TikTok though. I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's TikTok. But it's like I don't think they understand that's really what we're saying. So it's like you're asking us really, and I'll land here, you're asking us to be passive aggressive when we have been aggressed and oppressed this whole time. But you asking us now to take a passive aggressive approach and just stand next to you and just forgive. But we gotta forgive y'all, and y'all just start from a place of, oh well, we understand y'all. Nah, that ain't how I go. We ain't doing that.
Yeah, we ain't doing that.
but I'll land there.
All right. Appreciate you, King. Thank you for coming up.
No problem.
Change Mac. Give us your age, your race, and your pronouns, please.
I'm 21. I'm black, and I'm he, him, I guess.
All right. Talk to us.
I'm just supposed to like give my opinion on the questions, I guess.
Yeah, go ahead. Run down the
Wait,
question.
so like for like the first one, like when you say can white people be pro-black allies, like what is pro-black like your definition? Cause
Um, it's not my definition, but the definition of the scholars is a consensus among Afrocentrics. Pro-blackness is prioritizing one's actions and values with what's in the best interest of building within the black community. I say it again.
so with that, I mean, I guess then I don't think white people can be pro-black. Probably
Mm.
it's up for the best interest of the black community. I mean, I would say yes, just because like some white people, I don't know, like or like pro-black. I feel like they don't really like or like take
Your
advantage.
mic is cutting out.
Hello?
Yeah, much better. Yeah, talk to us.
So wait, what was I saying?
I don't know. I think you said the answer was no, and then I think you were leaning towards a yes.
Oh
I
yeah,
don't.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, because like white people can be pro-black and like do stuff for like the interests of the black community and like ignore their own community, if that makes sense. Like I feel like I've seen white people who like strictly are like kind of pro-black or like involved in helping like the African American community and don't really like do anything. Would that be considered pro-black? Or
No.
okay. And
Prioritizing one's actions and values with what's in the best interest above all other interests of other communities and only in the best interests
so
of building the black community.
well, I mean, well then I guess no. Then nah.
You can't build a brick house with wood. You can't build a wooden house with bricks.
Well then I guess the answer would be no. Yeah. The next one is interracial marriage problematic for like the black community or
The nuance left open in that question would be up to interpretation, but because you asked, I would say yes, the black community.
yeah, I think so. Cause like I just find it weird that like there's like a lot of like interracial marriage, yet like black men and women aren't getting married, but like there's like a lot of interracial marriage, so like I feel like that is like an issue. And then white people coexist.
I missed the can. Can white people peacefully coexist with black people?
As like a whole, probably not, because I feel like white people are just like kind of greedy, and they wouldn't like. I don't know, like I just feel like, cause like they kind of like will try and like take what we have. I mean, they've always done that, like take what we have, so like we can't really like coexist. No, I mean that's just like how I see it. Like, I mean, I feel like maybe us, like I don't know, like nah, they just no.
Okay. Honestly, I think you stumbled in like Jack Sparrow, but you landed on the right place where you needed to land.
Well, because I'm like actively thinking,
You're actively what?
like thinking and like changing, like I don't know, like
Yeah, I know. I know.
this is like a complex topic, so like
It is. It is intentionally so.
all right, so like, can you explain to me, I guess, like with the interracial marriage thing, like, because I mean, I said it's problematic, but I feel like I don't really understand like the whole reason why it's problematic.
Well, would you like to hear from a person who's the product of that marriage?
Yeah,
Myself?
sure.
Sure. So it can be problematic because there's a caveat of things that are happening. In a large chunk of these relations, you're usually seeing it for the purpose of sexual fetishization and sexual exploitation. There's too much of a dynamic where there is a deep-seated desire to separate ourselves from our Africanity, and it's a form of self-hatred. And that was taught to us through European oppression. So 400 years of European taught hatred for African features molded by trauma into self-hating people of African ancestry. You have that. But then also because of the atrocities that were committed during the European transatlantic slave trade, the average African American has between 17.5 to 24% European DNA because of the grapes of women of African ancestry during the European transatlantic slave trade.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that desire for black bodies has not gone away. Black women are still, actually, in the year 2020, over 90,000 black women and girls were reported missing. That's over 90,000. And that's tens of thousands of black women and black girls that go missing or reported missing every single year. So, like, we know very clearly that there very much so is still that desire for black flesh. We also know very clearly, based off of recent reports, they've actually found out that the individuals that are soliciting sex from human trafficking victims, black human trafficking victims, are middle-aged YT men married with kids. So we know that that desire still exists there. Also, if you look at social media on your regular scrolling, you're able to see countless interracial relationship propaganda, just post after post after post. Always an
Yeah, I keep that low key.
Yep. So that is deliberate because at the end of the day, of the black men that get married, 85% of them are getting married to black women. And of the black women that get married, 93% of them are getting married to black men. So why the hell are 70 to 80% of our commercials showing interracial marriages when there are literally only like 10% of the actual dynamic that even exists in the first place?
They're selling the
All right, so
dream.
And like also at the same time, there are studies and research that has come out that has basically they've conducted surveys with people of African ancestry's experiences with online dating outside of the black community, and majority of those experiences that they surveyed referred to YT individuals pursuing them um, by first addressing them as some sort of like a food object that resembled their melanin skin, like such as chocolate or such as like it's basically dehumanizing them from the very beginning. But also,
all right, so
uh-huh.
I mean, because I've like all like the stuff you're saying, I like kind of like agree with, and it's like stuff I thought about before. So like my thing is, so basically, like as a black man, like you shouldn't want to marry interracially. Like one to like have respect for yourself. Cause like my thing is like if you're a black man and like you just like a non-black woman, like oh, hold on, how do I say this?
Well, I mean, sometimes people will try to coin the term "it's my preference" or "love is love," and that's really just a falsification of what's really happening, which is a
Yeah, what is
deep-seated self-hatred for when black people are trying to use that excuse. But
oh
also,
well
yeah, a lot of times you're seeing YT individuals fetishizing black people, which is why they'll
well
claim.
so do you think like it's natural like that one should like black men, it should be natural for them to want black women and like go with black women. So like the fact that there's so much interracial like marriages and stuff shows that there's like a bigger problem at hand. Is that
Yeah,
like
it's the brainwashing. They want to encourage that black divide because they know that some of our strongest power is in our unification. They know that.
Mm-hmm.
they
And that's the reason they invented interracial marriages through Loving versus Virginia. That is not something that we voted to have. That's not something any of our leaders marched to have. No one ever said, I want to be able to marry a glass of milk. That never happened. We never said that we wanted to do that. That is something that they chose to do to us. And the thing about it is, the wildest part is, if you believe black people are still oppressed to this day, do you believe that change?
yeah.
All right, so you understand that black oppression still exists
Yeah.
worldwide. We are in the middle of our oppression. How the hell
Right.
do we look turning around to those that benefit off our oppression, who started this whole thing in the first place, and saying that we love them in the middle of it? That's like you in the middle of a battlefield, you on one side, you people on the other side are trying to unalive you, and you choose now to love people. This is what you would call Stockholm Syndrome. If I took a woman out of her house and chained her up in my bathroom and had my way with her and did not feed her, did not give her water, did not do anything to her to improve her conditions, did nothing to help her or make her life any better as she was still chained up in my bathroom, but then turned to her and said, I love you, and she said, I love you back, you would say that that woman has Stockholm Syndrome because she's just loving her oppressor. That is
Yeah.
what's going on. Until there is, and I quote Dr. Martin Luther King again, this is Black History Month. Martin Luther King said, negative peace is the absence of tension. Positive peace is the presence of justice. Until we are in a just society that is not dangerous and harmful towards black people, until we're not vilified the way we are and discriminated against, there ain't no such thing as love between us and those that benefit from our oppression. There's only Stockholm Syndrome. We could talk about this. We could talk about loving them 400 years after the oppression is over. Then we can start talking about it. Right now, it's still going on. It's not time yet.
Okay. So I guess my next question would be, like, with the white people coexist with like non-black people. So like, what do you think is like the future for like the black community, like in America, or in America specifically? Because like,
Well,
cause
personally, I don't
I
think
feel like,
America's
what's
gonna
up?
last for very like America's on borrowed time. Like you can't build a civilization out of bloodshed and unaliving mass quantities of people and expect it to last a long time. Like you can't. Like there's no evidence at all throughout all of human history where a civilization that was built based off of that level of bloodshed and unaliving lasts a long time. Like even looking at Rome, Rome literally would go from region to region to region to conquer as much as they possibly could, and they would even go as far as to invent propaganda as to make up reasons as to why they would go into these spaces to take over those spaces. And then when they finally took over areas that were, plentiful in gold or enough resources, they would literally just use that gold and resources to fund further campaigns of trying to conquer more land and more territories. And they only lasted for a few centuries before, their territories got completely obliterated by outside forces, and then eventually got to the point where their civilization just fell apart. And then they went into the dark ages, and then we didn't see anything like really of intellectual like depth coming out of Europe until um what period was that? Yeah, until after they got conquered by the Moors, which were, majority black Africans.
Yeah.
So
Yep. Like I think it's like 7th century AD, CE, whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, I guess that's really all I want to talk about or ask. So I guess the next guest can come on.
Okay, appreciate you change back. I hope you learned something, brother.
All right, man. Have a good one.
All right, you too. Black Swan, what's good, sister?
Peace, brother Legend. How are you?
Peace. What's going on?
Well, I wanted to speak to specifically to the third topic, and I've been just kind of doing a lot of reflection as we have these discussions more and more. And so can white people or YT people peacefully coexist with non-YT people? No. And we haven't been able to for hundreds of years. And the thing that I always think about is the mental aspect of this, right? Where they have painted us out to be, these monstrous, lazy, just all of the worst things that you could think of, whether it's on television or the way that, we're discussed in the news. It's evident that it's their thought process based on the way they treat us. And in reality, they have legally been the ones perpetuating trauma, abuse, unalivings to this day. If we talk about medical racism, if we talk about the neglect that our children have in the public school system, in some of the areas that we live in, the way that we built up our own towns. I believe I could be wrong on this, correct me if I am, but I believe at one point in time, there were, in America at least, there were 500 Black-owned hospitals, and I think now there's only one. Um, you know, it's always been a situation to where we have been trying to survive and empower each other and uplift each other. And, you know, they will harm their own just to make sure we stay where we are. So no, we cannot peacefully coexist. And it just sickens me that's the way that they're able to do it, right? Like the ones who are harmful to us are sitting at desks, wearing suits, in offices. You know, they're the ones that are perpetuating mass destruction. And they have been for hundreds of years, but somehow have found a way to make it seem as if we are the problem.
I
So
heard that.
I wanted to give that, you know, I always want our people to know that about ourselves, you know, like we've never caused this amount of harm or this level of harm to another group of people. Before we were colonized, we were peaceful people. We were, you know, living wonderfully. And I hope that everybody who's listening in don't internalize it, because it's not who we are. It's who they are. I think it's important that we always remember that.
Yep. The
Look at
people
the
that
before and after. Before we was introduced to white supremacy, and look at the after. Even the violence in our communities is a product of white supremacy that does not come from us or our culture. Look at our music, or what they call our music, and you hear the violence in that. We even got R&B about violence. SZA singing about "I just killed my ex." I'm sorry, unalive my ex. What in the world? Even our R&B is about unaliving people now. We done got to the point, and this is the music paid for by those white institutions, the record labels. You know what I'm saying? And you think about it, what were our ancestors singing about? I know they wasn't singing about unaliving their ex. I know they wasn't singing. If you wonder if I hate you, I do. I know they wasn't singing. I know they wasn't singing this type of stuff. They was singing about wealth, abundance, where they come from. You understand? That's our culture. But let's go to the next guest. Appreciate you, Black Swan, as always, dropping some gems on us. And the next guest is Nawaji. Give us your age, race, and pronouns.
Hello, hello. My name is Noah. I'm white, 22, and my pronouns are he, him.
Okay, give us.
Uh,
Go ahead, answer the questions.
yeah. So I just wanted to first say that like I do agree that all white people in the United States specifically are inherently racist, and not only benefit from like the systems of racism, but are if you know generational trauma is true, then so is generational sociopathy, which is what you know white supremacy is, and passes down through you know white generations. So to be anti-racist is to be you know acknowledging those things and like you know trying to fight those things specifically. You know, I also agree that like and I usually never get in these discussions because as a white person in America, I don't think it's really my place to talk about whether interracial marriages are, you know, like good for whose community where because you know it's not my community, so I shouldn't be the one to speak on it. But I did want to ask you specifically, like from you know a portion or a community of white people trying to be anti-racist and dismantle those things both within us and outside of us. What do you believe in regards to like coalition building in the fight for you know I guess equity for black people in America, you know, because you know at the end of the day, and I don't say this to demean the race struggle, but I'm saying we have a class struggle that is a race struggle. You know what I mean? The class struggle starts with the most exploited, which the most exploited people in the country have been black people. So it starts with, you know, things like reparations and all that stuff, right? So, but what do you believe in like the sense of coalition building with, you know,
Me,
a white population trying to be anti-racist, you know?
me, and the Pan Africans, the brothers and sisters, the Garveyites, the true Garveyites in here already know that we are not worried about no reparations. We don't care about reparations. When people bring up, especially Thin Lipians, bring up talking about reparations as a way to unify us and talking about classism and all that other stuff, they're really just trying to appeal to our sense of greed. And because we've lacked resources for so long, saying that we should prioritize filling that void of resources, and in hopes to get us to somehow sidestep our oppression because of our proximity to Africanness, and instead focus on the lack of resources in our community as the sole oppression. But we know that the lack of resources in our community is not going to go away when classism goes away, because the problem is not the web, the problem is the spider. As long as the spider still exists, he's just going to create another web. It may not be capitalism, it'll just be some other form of systemic oppression towards our people. But also, when it comes to anti-racism work, Black people are the allies. Because if I'm helping you solve a problem that started in your community, if I'm helping put your fire out on your house, then that is me being your ally. You're not being my ally just because the fire that started in your house is reaching over to mine, and my house is on fire. I can handle my house on my own. Your house is on fire, and every time I put my fire out in my community, your fire come over to my house. So you got to put your own fire out on your own house. And those brothers and sisters that have such an allegiance to those that started the fire in the first place, that they want to go and save your house, let them. But you're not doing them a favor. They're doing you a favor.
Yep.
Okay,
And
yeah.
also at the same time, when it
Oh,
comes to no, it's all good. When it comes to reparations, like the amount that would be necessary in order to even remotely come close to what is actually what would be considered owed. That's why we don't even, believe in the concept of it, because the real dollar amount would completely bankrupt the entirety of the United States as well as the entirety of Europe. So, like, if we're speaking realistically, but also at the same time, how do you put a dollar amount on mass unaliving tens of millions of people, men, women, and children? How do you put a dollar amount on the average African American having between 17.5 to 24% European DNA because of the grapes of women of African ancestry during the European transatlantic slave trade? Like, how do you put a dollar amount on generations of psychological trauma that has literally been proven to have impacted African DNA? Like, that's literally a thing. Like, having high amounts of trauma and stress literally has the ability to alter your DNA to be able to produce more of, like, I forget exactly what chemical composition it is, but it's your body naturally producing means of being able to handle more amounts of stress. Like like, there's no way that you could put an actual dollar amount on that. And quite frankly, like, there's just no conversation that would really be something that the United States government would ever be willing to have, where they would ever actually give the real amount that's owed. Because I mean, like, listen, we built this country literally from the bedrock to where it is today. Like, the very first courthouse was built by enslaved Africans. The very first bank in Philadelphia built by enslaved Africans. The very first housing developments that were across that, like, it goes very, very deep. Very, very deep.
The first college was Harvard. Harvard was built by enslaved people. They're just finding some of the graves. Go ahead, Black Swan.
So I was going to say, I think that if you want to create a solution to your problem, then you have to understand what the actual issue is. It's a little concerning that you think that racism only exists in America. just like it all stems from the transatlantic slave trade. I mean, really, this concept goes back to the 1400s with the Portuguese and Spanish, but it we weren't just taken from Africa and only brought to America. This is a global issue that YT people have created. And so for me, thinking about my people, they're not just here in America. They're all over the world. This is when colonization happened, it plagued the entire world.
Mm-hmm. The
Yeah,
first ever
So you
sorry. If I could,
it's
my bad. If I could correct myself a little bit. First of all, when I apologize. I don't mean to say reparations as any sort of end means because there is obviously no amount of payback that could justify, this entire country being built on that. And I also only say America because, or the United States to be specific, because it's the country in which I reside. And so I just feel like when it comes to I guess like a social justice movement at all, you have to start from your own community.
but
And
that's the
so that's
thing
why
though.
I try to focus on the United States, but I understand that it does come from,
But that's the thing though. If
it's
you
rooted. Oh, sorry.
real quick, no, if you're going to be dismantling these systems, right? These systems have caused you to think in an individual manner, right? And you did use the word community. So when we talk about community, you got to understand all people that are affected. It's not just Black people in America that are affected by this. All Black people over across the entire world are affected, no matter where they are. And if you work backwards from where we are now, back to chattel slavery, right? America was the last stop. So I think if you truly want to dissect this problem that your community has that affects us, you need to understand the depth and the root of it all.
Yeah. I I I understand, and I know that, like, I also believe that the root of the issues come from, like, the root of, colonialism and Eurocentric individualism and all that stuff. I know, like, just the United States itself is a country of just tax evading slave owners who came from a country and continent built off of stolen ideas from, Africa and Egypt. And so I mean, Africa is in Egypt, but I know that the roots come from the individuality of Eurocentric ideologies and colonialism and stuff like that. But I mean, and correct me if I'm wrong, from what I see, I feel like the revolution, I guess, is an unraveling effect, And so I guess my question is more of like, from a white person, I know the issues need to be solved within my own community, but from a white person, how do we do that, you know, in this day and age, in this society of white supremacy, where we all benefit off of, the oppression of Black people? Like like, I don't know if I can word this correctly, but how do we build the, like
So
how
I'm
do
gonna
we
I'm gonna
do
tell you
that
straight.
correctly? You know what I mean?
I'm gonna tell you straight up. The entirety of the United States foundation was built off of YT supremacist ideologies and slavery. So technically speaking, that would mean the complete and total dismantling of the United States. Period.
Agreed.
But to start the process, see, the thing is that it's not Black people's responsibility to educate YT people on how to fix YT people's issues. So, however, for the sake of just, I guess, playing the role of John Brown for a quick second here, the individual that was on our the live earlier, um, what you want to do is start by educating yourself. So you want to be picking up books, you want to be reading them cover to cover. You want to be unpacking and analyzing what's going on within your own self, recognizing a lot more of those other things. And we're living in the age of information, so the more that you unpack, the more that you can start introducing that unpacking into your communities and start that process of having the conversation with other individuals to actively be anti-racist.
Can I
Um,
add to that? Oh, I'm sorry.
yeah, no, go ahead, Queen.
Um, so this is an analogy, right? If there's pollution in the ocean and it's affecting the dolphins, would you go into the ocean and ask the dolphins how to clean up the ocean? Noah?
That's a very solid question, and
Yeah.
I don't mean
So
this
real
to.
quick, real quick. Don't the problem is not ours to fix. It's very problematic when you come to the Black community and say, hey, what do I do? Right? Because then it puts the labor in our hands. And we've labored enough for your community. And Timothy was very gracious in giving you that information. And, I wish you the best on your journey. But don't go to another group of Black people asking them to solve your problem. It's harmful.
I I I hear you, and I apologize if I it seems exploitative, and so I really just mean because most of my studies have been based in mostly just like the social justice movement, specifically of white people in the history of this country as well as Chicanos, because those are the two communities in which I belong. So I do believe in, like trying to educate from within my own community. um, I guess for me, I understand what you're saying about, the dolphin analogy. I guess for me, it's just if I had the ability to speak to the dolphins, you know what I mean? I would, I guess, like in a way want to at least understand how I can begin to unravel, like the damage that I've done without adding to any more damage, you know what
So
I mean? Or adding to the systems
keyword,
of white supremacy. Because the other thing I guess that
key,
like
keyword
that
there,
I
keyword in that.
oh
You,
sorry about that.
for you, it's beneficial. For
Yeah.
you, it's beneficial. But for the Black community, it's not. Because at the end of the day, there are resources out there that are available that you absolutely can dive into and that you can unpack for yourself. Because again, it's not Black people's responsibility to correct YT's issues. Like that's just not that's not our responsibility. What's the responsibility of YT people is to fix those issues within themselves and to fix those issues within the constructs and the systems that they have created to perpetuate these issues. So that's something that you're going to have to do on your own. That's something that you're going to have to do. That's the work that you're going to have to engage in within your own community. And yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. Best of luck to you on that.
All right, for sure. Best of luck to all of you. Yeah, I apologize if it comes off as exploitative. I do agree that I got to do the work from the inside, and that it's a complex process because as well, with whiteness in America constantly changing to uphold its supremacy, it's hard to fully grasp exactly what that is, and it's no Black person's responsibility to uncover that for me or for any white person.
Because the
I
thing
guess
is, you can't do nothing to help us, and we got stuff to do in our own community. So you become a distraction. That's the only way it's harmful. We're not saying that you need to apologize or nothing like that. It's just we got stuff to do in our own community, and we don't got time to be explaining to y'all, how to tie your shoes. But
yeah,
appreciate you coming up.
completely understood. And then before I hop off, because I'm gonna hop off right now, I was just wondering, and so like with that, um, like if there was ever someone with an eagerness to actually really dive into themselves and deconstruct those things within themselves, like it would not be an asset in current society to have I guess a white person on the inside at
No,
all.
No,
no.
no.
Understood.
Mm.
No. Every
Understood.
single movement that has
Have you
been
read into the
like
history
the
of the
Black
civil rights
movement.
movement?
See,
Yeah.
I was trying to tell you to go. Now
I
after
did,
we talk about
my,
something,
my my brother. If you read into the history of the civil rights movement, um, that your theory has been tried and tested, my brother, in real history of what happens when you try and have white people and Asian people on the inside.
Yeah, and a whole bunch of you guys are coming to, bro. Like, what happens when you start to when you try and bring woke white people into your movements, is that you get you get a lot of undercover agents there to
See,
undermine the
the
movement.
point that
So
you had to bring up, a white person
Is it?
is racist.
So yeah, whatever happens, hey, whatever work you're doing with yourself, it's the primary beneficiary of the work that you do within yourself is you, my brother. So like, yeah, there's not much you can do for us, and historically, it would be very unwise of us to take like white people under our wing and into our communities and into our movements, knowing what happened just 50 years ago. So respectfully, I think black people would decline.
Yeah, and I don't mean that in any like white savior way, as in I have something that could be beneficial that no one else has. But real quick on on that, was that part of like the like was part of like the unraveling of the Black Panther Party, the I guess whatchamacallit, the Rainbow Coalition, is that is that where the rats came from? Was within the Rainbow Coalition?
Well, see, the thing is, during the civil rights movement, it was a collection of everybody from everywhere, really. Like they hired YT people, they hired Federal Bureau of Investigation, they hired agents, they hired Central Intelligence Agency. Like the whole government
Gloria
was
Steinem.
active. How would you say, King?
Gloria Steinem.
Yeah, yeah. Like they got everybody. They got infiltrators from within the black community. They got infiltrators from outside of the black community. They got everybody. So it was a collective effort done by the United States government to dismantle that coalition. So
But he's
that's
doing it once again. He's bringing up anti-racist movements and anti-racist moves by black people
And
as it's a distraction from us building amongst ourselves. We don't. Racism is not our problem. Black people that try to solve racism.
anti-racist.
Hey man, this guy gotta go. Don't let somebody come up here when their name is racist. Like, look, the first part of his name is Native American. The second part of his name is S. Avage. Like, that's the most disrespectful name I ever even seen. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's wild. But anyway, um,
Anyways, I respectfully thank you all for your time and for your knowledge. Yeah. Anyways, good, best of luck to all of you.
all right. Anyway, like I was saying though, um, anti-racist black people and anti-racist, movements in general, is a survival mechanism for black people. That is not something we do because we're trying to fix America. That's something we do because we need to survive in the meantime until we finish building what we need to build in our community. And that's why my platform is about focusing y'all behinds into unifying with our community. That's what B1 Initiative is all about. The nonprofit link is in my bio. B1 Initiative. Somebody join B1 Initiative. Donations are donations for our projects. If you look on the website, you will see the projects that we're building for Black people. You can donate from the website. You can send like $5 a month. Something small. Dollar sign Bring Down Babylon. Black people only. Black people only. Dollar sign Bring Down Babylon. Donations help us achieve our mission. If you want to know what our mission is, check it out on the website. We're weaponizing technology to empower the African diaspora. But that's what we got to do. We got to focus on building amongst ourselves and stop focusing on white people's problems because that's what they like to do.
Can I add real quick? I always wonder what prompts somebody to start that journey, to want to do that work. And so I went to his page, and I think that I didn't want to say anything about this before, but I'm thinking about it now, and I think it's worth it to say something. He was asking us to do the labor for him. And the reason why he was asking us these questions is because his partner is a Black woman. So what he did was came and centered himself and trying to get education, right? I don't know if it's because he truly wants to see or decided that he sees the humanity in Black people, or if it's because he wants to impress his girlfriend. I'm not sure. But I think that we have to really be adamant about not doing that labor for them. It is their problem that they started that affects us. It's not our job to fix their issues. And I'm bringing that up because it's a lesson to be learned about people that actually think that we have allies, or people who kind of get a sparkle in their eye when they hear a white person say that they want to come in and they want to do better and they want to go down, down this journey. Why are you coming to us and telling us that? If you are genuine about deconstructing and going down the road of becoming an anti-racist, you're not coming to Black spaces and asking us to do the work for you. You're not.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that is a lesson to be learned. He was doing it for selfish reasons, not because he feels the Black community deserves more.
Oh, I always with situations like that, there's multiple levels problematic to that kind of situation. Because first and foremost, if you're a whitey person and you've been on the earth for 21, 25, 30 years, and the first time you've ever thought to look into the humanity of like these kind of racial dynamics that control our society is just because you had a Black girlfriend, you've got like 25 years worth of like of conditioning to undo. And then on top of that, like if the only time if when you're seeking like to educate yourself, the first places you go is onto into Black spaces where they're talking amongst them, building amongst themselves and centering yourselves. Like if you had done the bare minimum, you would know not to do that. If you had gone to your local Barnes and Noble and brought and looked and got all the books on like Black radicalism, you'd know not to go into Black spaces to do that. In fact, if you had gone and if you had done the most basic, if you had read the biography of Malcolm X, you'd know not to do this. But like, it's just like people who haven't done any of the work, who just want to go into Black spaces and center themselves and have Black people mule and labor for them, and like it's just exhausting, man. So I think that's why, and I think a lot of Black people, when like they see like a white person who's softly spoken, like all their kind of like all of our kind of our cultural kind of conditioning activates, and I've seen it so many times where like our people like go above and beyond to educate people, where like that's not our job, man. It's not our job. And like the analogy I always use is that like when we talk about like can Black people and white people coexist, I always say like my analogy I would use is like a tiger's a tiger. And like, yeah, you can tell me about like how when you were growing up, you watched Winnie the Pooh and Tigger was really nice and you think tigers are nice, but a tiger's a tiger. And you can tell me how you watched a black a documentary on a tiger on Netflix and how the tiger seemed really nice and that the tiger that you saw on Netflix was really tame. Bro, a tiger's a tiger. And you can tell me how you went to Thailand and you saw the drugged up tiger and you were able to pet it. Bro, a tiger's a tiger. And even a tame tiger can dislocate your spine. Even a tiger that likes you can dislocate your spine just by swipe, because it's a bloody tiger, and a tiger is a predator, and you need to understand that. And you'd be very unwise to go out into the world thinking that a tiger is not a tiger just because you were able to pet a tiger in Thailand in a country. Just because you grew up watching Tigger with Winnie the Pooh, like you have to use your common sense when you're dealing like with people, and like there's no amount of white friendliness that should be able to undo like 500 years of documented inhumanity, well documented inhumanity, like to show you that like, hey man, white people have a nature and they have an instinctive reaction to people that look like us. So like, I don't know.
He always got a phone call. He's speaking facts though.
My name.
I always say that like.
So my name's the Liberator, right?
Yeah, white people haven't moved a bit. Like they haven't. Not only like, Cat Williams said that like this. Cat Williams has a perfect like quote where he says, just because your oppressor has told you a lie doesn't mean they believe the lie. Like white people are looking at the numbers, and like the numbers are driving them crazy, and the numbers are radicalizing them, because they see their white settler colony, which is the United States of America. They're looking at the demographics and saying, oh, by 2050, we're going to be a minority. They're looking at the demographic changes within the world, and they're saying, what, by 2050, 1 in 4 people are going to be Africans? Like, they're looking at the demographic shifts of the world, and it's driving them crazy, and it's radicalizing them. You're not going to get anything out of white people. So, like, when people talk about reparations, I agree with Brother Legend. It's an appeal to greed, because, like, there's no way you can look at, like, the way white people are politically moving, both in Europe and America, and say these people are going to give us reparations. Like, you'd have to be completely oblivious to like current affairs to think that these people are going to turn around and pay what would be trillions of dollars to black people. They won't even let you. They won't even let you teach CRT to your children. You think those people are going to? You think those people are going to pay you reparations? And like I always say, it's the most glaring example of how these people have not changed. Apartheid. I was alive when apartheid ended. Most of us were alive when apartheid ended in '94, and it's only been 30 years, and those people are they're already seeking secessionist movements to start like Dutch colonies, to have an Afrikaans state within South Africa. They haven't been able to tolerate one generation of black freedom until they said, hey man, yeah, we need to make a white South Africa again, man. We can't do this. One generation. They couldn't tolerate one generation of black freedom. Go look it up about Cape Cessation. These people are trying to secede from South Africa because they cannot tolerate. These people have not changed one bit. They've not moved one iota. So like, when people come into like these spaces and they talk about like coexisting with white people, I say bring the evidence that these people have changed. Bring me the evidence, because there's a mountain of evidence to say that these people have not only not changed, that they're radicalizing. Good enough time, guys, man.
Appreciate you, Africa Debunked, man. Hey, man, y'all follow that brother right there. He got some great content, always dropping gems, man. I love his perspective on things. He always got a way to spin it in a way that it's just like, man, you know, like you can even know exactly what he's talking about, but the way he processes the information and like teaches it is so spot on. It just still opens up a whole new discussion, man. I really appreciate you.
Brother, stuff in South Africa about their movements.
What'd you say? You breaking up, brother? Say it again.
Have you seen the stuff in South Africa about their breakaway country?
Yeah, I seen it. Yep.
Crazy. Absolutely. I said these people couldn't tolerate that. When I said I counted the years since apartheid, I was alive when apartheid ended.
Yeah.
I was like, these people couldn't tolerate not 3 decades of black.
Not even.
Crazy to me.
Yeah.
I just said, hey man, it's their nature, isn't it? It's their nature.
Yeah. We gonna see, man. We gonna see. Let Malema get in there. Let Malema get in there. I'm waiting. I seen that they didn't go to the State of the Nation address. They're the EFF. Shout out to the EFF brothers and sisters. I see what y'all doing out there, but I did see a problematic white tea woman writing a blog on the EFF. I don't know, Malema. Don't let me see them. Don't let me see that. Don't y'all start looking for them allies. Y'all be careful. I don't know. I didn't see any of the sanctioned EFF brothers and sisters co-signing her, but I seen an article written by a white tea woman with the EFF red beret on, and I was just like, I don't look right. That don't even look right. You don't even look. The colors don't match. You know, it don't look. It don't look good like it's supposed to on melanin. I don't know.
Yeah, you can't be talking about brr pa.
Yeah, you can.
And
Yeah,
trying to
you can't do
invite
that.
the ones that you're trying to brr pa. Like, nah.
Hell nah. Pow pow.
Yeah, for real. Like, nah. You can't be inviting the pow.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Always never did no harm. Be told you never saw it.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what that was about. That sounded like a country western that he was trying to jam through for a second.
I feel like the N word was coming out soon. Let me go to the next guest. The Liberator, give us your age, race, and pronouns, please.
So I'm African American. I'm 36, and he and him.
Talk to us.
All right. So I have, if we are talking about just separating ourselves, you know what I mean? The individuals I just heard, both of them, they articulated that conversation perfectly, you know what I mean? And I wouldn't argue against it. Um, but, in the reality of things, I don't see a movement for that to take place, right? So I have to do what I actually can do. So my profession is I work for Mental Health of America, Indiana, right? And I'm DEIJ, which means that I am basically head of advocating for our people within the community that I'm based in, right? So my approach is always to identify the gaps and come with a solution to fill them, because I don't particularly care about what the day-to-day individual thinks about me, or, what their attitude may be. My goal is to give resources into our community, right? Because politics, a lot of this race-based stuff is based on resources, And so I know, that there's ways to change policymakers' minds, right? And there's ways to get some dollars to go over here and to flow over there. And the only way that you get these individuals to actually change their mind is if you inform them and inform the individuals around them so that you can, move to the 30-yard line, move to the 35-yard line, slowly but surely, get resources back into our community and get access to those resources, right? So
What
that's my
resources?
approach. All right. So for instance, right, one thing I've been working on lately is an initiative, right? So when people I'm just gonna be 100% just blunt with it, right? So we have a epidemic of drug use in our communities, right, across the board. But we know they're only responding to it because their children are being affected by this, right? So as they respond to this crisis that is going on in their communities, right now, all of a sudden they're putting funds into this, right? So they can save their kids, so they can get their kids rehabilitated, they can get them to recover. My goal, and I've been successful in this, is to get money allocated to Black RCOs, right? And RCOs is Recovery Community Organizations. Because we know in order for our people to receive services, they must first feel comfortable in going to that space. So what we do is we develop talent. So if you already have a recovery residence for people to transition home, now we're going to connect you to the money, right? I'm going to come through. I'm going to show you how to qualify for it. Now there's also policy that changed. Before, you needed probation officers and stuff to basically refer you to these services. Well, what's taking place now is they took that out and they put it in that if you have a felony within the last 10 years, you can self-referral and you have $7,500 that you can use to go to any reentry residence that you prefer, as long as it's a RCO, qualified meet the little standards or whatever. So now the objective is to develop more people in our community who actually have these organizations. And this is not a thing that you really need a physical location. It's really a thing that you need the staff and you need the paperwork right. So they make it look like it's a big deal, but it's really just a bunch of fucking paperwork. You know what I'm saying? So I'm communicating it that way so that the audience can also understand what's taking place. So that's my approach to certain situations, right? Also, they've been funding certified peers, right? So since they're funding certified peers and these certified peers are going into these organizations and they're working as basically case managers, a certified peer is an individual that actually have lived experience, right? So we know plenty of individuals from our community who have lived experience. But if you have these conversations with people, how many individuals know that the funding to get the certificate, to get certified, right, is available to them? How many individuals in our community actually know that this is even taking place? So what you do is you go in and you secure something like a patch grant, right? So you secure this patch grant, which means that we're going to patch up this whole, basically this basically the fact that there's no minorities getting funding to get certified for this role, right? So I'm going to apply for this patch grant so that I can basically patch the landscape so that we have diversity and equity. So these are the approaches that I actually take. I wouldn't go against anything that the individuals who spoke before me said as far as what the reality of it is, but you have to engage in order to convince enough individuals to change enough policies, because they are the stakeholders in our communities, right? They hold all the power. They are the power brokers. But I'll land right there. Hopefully
When
that
you say
made
they,
sense to
who do
y'all.
you mean? When you say they, who do you mean?
When I say
Who's the power brokers?
YT,
Okay, so
YT,
I
yeah.
definitely gotta give you props for the work you're doing. I like hearing that. And keep doing that work. You know what I'm saying? I would just say, that is a that's what you're talking about. If you're talking in reference to what we're talking about, as far as being pro-black and what pro-blackness is, that is something that's more of an anti-racist and survival mechanism for us. That's not something that builds us up, but rather defends us against racist discrimination and oppression. So, not saying that one fight is more. Not saying that to belittle what you're doing. What I'm saying is that when we talk about things like systemic change and things like that, Dr. Khalid Muhammad says that's like saying we could just change the spider web and forget about the spider. No matter what happens, as long as there's a spider there, we can convince politicians and they can change the system and do whatever they're going to do. But at the end of the day, as long as the spider is still a spider, he's going to spin another web. So
So I agree with that. So I'm not against that thought. I agree with that thought, right? That's why I said I agree with your other panelists on what they were saying, right? Basically what they was articulating. But my question then becomes this right here, right? Um, are we is there a solution for getting rid of this spider? Because this spider, it been spidering for a while. You feel what I'm saying?
I
Like,
hear you.
like this spider is
But
spidering, and it's in, you know what I mean? And
I
and it
hear
it,
you.
it, it, it likes spidering.
I hear you. And I thought like that at one point too until I found the answer. I found the answer and it's easier than all of us could think. It's so easy. We have one thing we got to do. And it sounds corny, and that's the reason why a lot of us don't want to do it, because we've been hurt so much that what's good for us don't seem like a good idea. But it's really simple. All we got to do is unite. All we have to do is come together. And I'm not talking about Black Americans. I'm talking about the entire African diaspora. We need to work with each other. As long as African Americans are alone in fighting against oppression in their communities, there's going to be problems. The reason Chinese people are respected everywhere, the reason when you say that you're pro-Palestine, the reason that they call you anti-Yemitic, and the reason you scared to talk about the Ish people, I can't even say them on TikTok, the people with the little hats and the blue stars, um, you know, the reason that's our thing is because Israel does business with the United States. Israel does business with the United States. The United States needs Israel as a military powerhouse in that region. The United States does business with China. That's why they'll pass the Asian hate crime bill. This because these things happen when it's not up to the hearts of politicians. It's because, if we don't do this, China could put sanctions on us, raise our debt. We like there's a lot that China can do. We gotta at least play fair with them. We can't if we treat their people a certain way, You know, so what I'm trying to say is everyone else has a big brother outside the United States except for us. Because our big brother is being also exploited by the United States. Africa does not do business with the United States. The United States does business at Africa. So us unifying with our homeland, us unifying, we have tried freedom so many times in this country and it has failed over and over again. They couldn't burn down Black Wall Street if we had a Pan-African military that could put sanctions on oil taken from Africa and Nigeria, diamonds, gold, from gold mines, uranium. If Africa could put all these materials come from Africa, if Africa could build their own bank, back their resources up and build their own bank. I'm sorry, use their resources to back a bank and then build a dollar based on those resources, it would be over 55 times greater than the US dollar.
That's what Gaddafi was trying to do.
And that's why he took him out. And so that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, Africa needs to wake up. We need to put our strength behind Africa as much as we can.
Hey, let me
It
jump
don't
in
mean
real
you have
quick.
to go to. It don't mean you have to go to Africa.
I got to say one sentence just because you said something a second ago, right? When you was talking about putting the sanctions on them, you know what they call that when they do put sanctions on them? They say that they're over there being pirates, right? You know what I mean? When one of them nations respond to something they done, they call them pirates.
Right.
You know what I mean? But you know what I mean? Label them in all types of other ways. You know, I don't want to say all that because we on
Yeah.
live, but you know what
Right.
I'm saying? Yeah.
And so when Africa has that sovereignty, then when we rise up in the United States, we'll have African banks. We're not worried about Navy Federal. I don't know if you heard about Navy Federal, what they doing with home loans. We're not worried about them no more. We go to an African bank in our African communities to get us a grant. We when we want to buy a house, and our African dollars is worth way more than this petty US dollar. So, because we got all the resources. The Congo alone is the richest resource nation. It's the most resource-rich nation in the world. And it's also one of the poorest. I think it's like the 6th poorest nation. How in the hell is that possible? How in the hell is that possible without colonization? That don't make no damn sense. The money we give, the money the United States gives Africa, gives the Congo for their resources is cheaper than the resources that they give to America. How the hell? They got children working in mines. And so until Africa has that sovereignty, we throughout the whole world, as goes Africa, so goes all African people. And that's why we've had uprisings here in the United States, and it's never panned out because we don't got no big brother with our back. So we don't need reparations. We don't need systemic reform. We don't need police reform. We don't need none of that. All we need is to have our own willingness to unify, focus our minds on helping Africa in any way we can, while also doing what you're doing. I'm not mad at what you're doing, because what you're doing is protecting your people. In the meantime, we need to buy time for Africa to stand on their own feet. That's the thing. We need to buy time. But to make that our focus and our only focus is like working a 9-to-5 job at McDonald's and not having a side business that you're working on, or doing something. Like if you only live to work at McDonald's, that's a miserable life. You got to be having a plan, something else you're doing besides that. And so that's what pro-blackness is. That's where pro-blackness come in.
Can I make a point? I think that there's an analogy my dad always used to give me, and it always resonated with me. And it's about like like the fact that like all people have if you have a nation that's your big brother and that's looking out for you, it changes people's perspective of you. So Brother Legend, he could as an individual, he could become a multi-millionaire. There is nowhere, even as a multi-millionaire, there's nowhere he could go in the world and get more respect than a Korean dentist. Because people know that Korea is a powerhouse in their region, and like people know that like Africa that fundamentally that Africa is in disarray, and they know that Africa is in a bad spot. And until Africa gets to the position where like Africans are respected, there's none of us black people in this world can be free, and like can be truly free. That's why even as much as like there's a lot of Chinophobia in America. Hey man, America takes time when they deal with China. Like as much as like all over Europe there's Chinophobia, there's a lot of like hatred towards China. But they take time when they deal with China because they know, hey, they're not small boys. Like like I think it's fundamentally until Africa is in the place it's going to be. There's none of us can run away from the fact that we are black African people of direct African descent, and that we can tell ourselves that we're Native American or Asiatic black men or Moors or whatever. But like no one else is playing that game with us. No matter where we go in the world, people clearly can identify we are African people. And until Africa is in the position it needs to be, people are going to associate us with chaos and disarray. So I think, as Brother Legend said, what needs to happen is that we need to unify, and we need to have Africa needs to be in a place where it can project its influence, and that influence is a protective influence, because you don't see the Chinese people being like the average Chinaman being violated, and like 30 years ago it wasn't like that. But now that China is a global powerhouse, people take time out to deal with Chinese people. They don't deal with Chinese people, and it's like the small hat people, because they know Israel's a powerhouse. They take time out to deal with the small hat people. Even America, all over the world, all over the global south, people hate Americans. I don't know if you guys know, but like all over the world, people despise Americans because they associate you guys with your foreign policy. But they know you a country with they know that especially white Americans come from a country with big pew-pews, so they take time of how they deal with Americans. So like as much as we can say like we're working within our own communities, which is important, we have to understand that the end goal is as having a free and prosperous Africa that will be a protective umbrella for all of us.
Yeah, that's what we got to do. So, in the meantime, this is the time where we've been the closest to that unification. Because of technology, we're starting to see that there's a lot of brothers and sisters like-minded on the continent of Africa, and there's been a revolution in Africa this past 2 years, a full revolution, like from coast to coast, in Africa right now. So they're literally kicking Europeans out of their countries and taking and getting rid of European languages as official languages. They're like there's a lot going on the continent that we have never seen before. So we're wishing them the best as they keep doing that, and just watching, but lending a hand where we can. I tell brothers and sisters, if you can, go to Africa. You know what I'm saying? Now would be the time, because their economy is about to boom. Niger has the fourth largest growing economy. Nigeria has one of the world's largest fastest growing economies. These economies, Africa is booming right now because a lot of brothers and sisters on the continent are seeing through the internet. Their consciousness is growing. It's a lot of stuff where they're like, okay, we are somebody. We do have some power in this world. So I hope that happens. Nimba Grab, give us your age, race, and pronouns, please.
Yo, 6, African American, he, him. I've been up here before. I think last time we had a discussion about this. I just back and share, I guess, an idea. I don't know. I'm not a professional. This Africa Debunked sounds like way more professional than I do. But
the accent.
Something we can do to like start the process of creating our own financial security as Africans, not African whatever country you're from. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So we have like, okay, for those of us in the diaspora who work out in the diaspora, who live out in diaspora, we have this currency that goes very far on the continent. We should start buying land, especially land that we know has resources on it, and start leveraging that and processing the resources ourselves. You can hit Alibaba and buy all the stuff you need to process anything from China. They will ship it to you. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's a process, though. That's like the end of a plan for real. That's not a full plan, but it's something. I don't know. It's better than nothing because we got to back our resources with something. America does it with guns. I mean, pew pews. You know what I mean? But you'll never be actual natural resources, even with pew pews. People will take that over fear. That's pretty much it, though. Like, what do you
Yeah.
guys think?
America's economy is backed by their military might. So yeah, it used to be on a promise of gold as a Federal Reserve note. It was a promise for a receipt for gold eventually, and now it's a promise. Now when a dollar is a reserve note because it's a promise that you will get your ass whooped if you try to mess with America.
Yeah, what I'm saying is not necessarily because, like, starting off, we're not going to have a currency. We right now, like, the black community in America would definitely benefit from some type of loan that's not associated with an American bank. You know what I mean? Because you know how like 23% interest rates, the denial rate for us is twice as high as it is for any, like, YT person. Like, if we had somebody on the continent who was, say, extracting gold and refining it, selling it elsewhere, using the funds and bankrolling that, and then, like, investing into, like, hey, I will lend you the money to buy your house, but you got to sign this contract to pay me back in 30 years. Just the same way they started doing it. Low key, copy what they've already done because it worked. We just do it our way.
I don't know. Capitalism. I think capitalism doesn't
I
pan
don't like
out.
capitalism. I'm just saying to survive here, to get over here. It's like a temporary thing.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Now, when we're talking strategically, a lot of these things, and that's what I was saying to the last brother that was speaking. Y'all keep bringing people up, but I gotta go, y'all. It's getting late now. Brother got to work in the morning. But yeah, what you're saying, as far as capitalism, I don't know if that's gonna work, but strategically, in the meantime, like the last brother was doing, like we do need to think of our survival, and just don't make it our focus because if we start making our survival here our focus, that starts to get into house ingrow talk. You know what I'm saying? That starts to get real. We gotta make sure Massa happy. We can win
Screw
him
that.
over. You know what I'm
What
saying?
I'm saying, is like, okay, because you got, okay, let's say we got a loan, you got interest on your loan. You don't reinvest the loan into more loans. That's what they would do. Let's
Right.
reinvest the loan into defense. You know what I mean? Because they're coming. So, like, and like, bro, radar math is not hard. It's literally microwaves. It's literally you could take apart a microwave, take out the magnetron in it, and if you know what you're doing, you can make a radar. It's not hard. You know what I mean? If you want to see, you can see stuff with any radar. You just can't track it. Infrared is not hard. You got infrared sensors in pretty much everything. You just gotta put enough of them boys together and cover in liquid nitrogen. Like, it's not hard to do this stuff. Arduinos exist. They get that from China.
And that's the thing. We got to do that in Africa.
Right. Right. That's what I'm saying. That's why you do the money elsewhere. The money is actually funding this defense stuff. You can low key make more money off the defense and then reinvest into education. You know what I mean? But like, even before all of that, Africa's problem mainly is electricity and clean water, from what I've heard. And like, the electricity thing is being solved slowly, but uh they say Nigeria and Ghana make like X amount of trillions of pounds of biomass. You know, biomass can be turned into ethanol, methane, natural gas. Like, you know what I mean? There's a lot of things you can do with this kind of stuff. There's a lot of businesses you can start with that, and it's not even got to be a business. I would call it a cooperative because people would benefit from it. Like, hey, take your recyclables to this place. We'll provide you power. Simple.
Right.
You don't even got to make no money off of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It supports itself.
Right. And that's the African way of doing things. That's what people don't know is that the way our ancestors set up their societies, the way our ancestors set up like everything that they did, it was all 100% reciprocal. Europeans think in lines, Africans think in circles. If you really get into African philosophy, you learn that throughout our whole culture, everything kind of like fed itself. Like if this were an African society we were living in, you wouldn't have to pay for nothing because everything would feed the next thing.
The only thing you should ever have to pay for, in my opinion, is things that you don't need. Like, if I wanted If I could get a basic car, but I want a Rolls Royce, I should have to pay for the Rolls Royce. But if I can get a basic car or like a basic transportation, it even got to be a car. Like, you know what I mean? Just to get around, like a bus ticket or some shit. But yeah, like you're right. Europeans thinking grids. We thinking fractals. Fractals are like definitely more circular triangle things, and I can get into that for real deep. But y'all gonna get confused. But it's amazing. You know what I mean? It's this book I have actually in
So
here.
gonna be
Hold on,
confused.
let me see it. It's this book called African Fractals by Ron Eglash or whatever. I bought it from this library that shut down in Ohio. But it explains like how Africans come up with their system of mathematics. Like the Euclidean mathematics that the Europeans use is way behind this stuff when the Europeans went to Africa. You know what I mean? And then not to mention the Europeans got their Euclidean math from the Arabs because they forgot all of this stuff. The Arabs saved it, and then when they invaded,
You
I
talking
think they
about
did a
you
crusade
talking about when they
against.
went into Spain, but you have to realize that's also northern Africa. So they'll tell you Arabs or this, that, and the third, just like
Wait, which
the
part?
Suez Canal, just like the Suez Canal, right? Is right there off the edge of Egypt. But what we have to understand is anything that is a canal is man-made, right? So that's how they trick you with the narrative, right?
Well, no,
That was
wait.
all
What you talking about, man? I missed your what you were talking about. What point were you pointing at?
Arabs went into Spain and everything. That's what you was about to
No,
start
no,
talking
no.
about.
I ain't talking about that. I'm saying the Arabs saved the works of Euclid, Aristotle, and all them people. Like all the actual mathematicians from Greece, the Arabs saved that stuff. The Europeans forgot it for like 2,000 years. You know, you had this stagnation between Europe and Asia to where the artillery only could go so far. You know what I mean? Because the mathematics, they didn't have gunpowder yet. You know what I mean? It's the only thing that can throw something farther. And then like they had developed like pretty much every developed society has some type of plumbing. When the Europeans went to Benin, for example, they had street lights, no doors, because the city was safe, and they had plumbing and a sewer system. You know, this is the 1400s when Europe was in the dark throwing crap out the window. You know?
Mhm. Yep. And they even thought, like, this is during a time period in which Europeans even thought that bathing would open them up to diseases. So that's why
Yeah,
they
they
would
were terrified of
regularly
water.
not bathe. Yep. And that's actually, it's funny because that's actually a European cultural thing. Like the refusal to bathe, that has
Bro,
been part of
but
that
in
thing
the
that they
but in the
do.
800s, right? You have to realize that the
I,
Moors went into Spain and start putting bathhouses in. So it's
they
before
filled them all in after they kicked the Moors out, which is ridiculous. But keep going. I'm sorry. Keep going.
and give
Well,
it
I'm
the
glad
time
y'all know.
frame,
I'm glad y'all know some Afrocentric history. This is what we putting on our
and
website.
then their philosophers and stuff. They went, you know, what I mean, they went to schools in Kemet and all types of things and took it back
Yeah, they
there.
all learned
You
it.
know, so that math came from, you know what I mean, the African continent. You know what I mean? Like,
Man, one of their people figured out particle physics 2,000 years ago, but one of the other ones who were too small-minded to understand was like, no, it must be Earth, Wind, and Fire. But this dude knew that things weren't made of just Earth, Wind, and Fire. He knew things were made of tiny little particles. And the reason why he found it out was using African fractals. Because if you just keep drawing lines through some stuff, eventually you'll get to as small as you can possibly get. And the shape that you will have will be an isosceles triangle. Because that's the smallest shape you could possibly get.
Yep. And one of the other things that they actually found evidence of is that they found evidence of the ancient Kemites had a knowledge, or at least a working knowledge, of the distance of the Earth to the sun. And this is all stuff that we talk about in the
Yeah.
Discord. Like
And you know how hard that
and
is to
we
figure out
include as
without a
much.
reference in space?
I
Like,
guess.
dang.
I mean, they managed to figure it out, and they were brilliant mathematicians. Like they invented all these concepts, so I would imagine that they'd be like masters at it. But
And
like, yeah,
really,
like, what we do is
if
in the
Go ahead.
Discord we have. Oh no, it's all good, King. What we do in the Discord is that we have all of this stuff linked. We anytime that we come across new researchers, like I know for a fact, anytime we come across new research, we always try to make sure that those sources are fully available for everybody. Anytime I come across something, I always include it in the in my own little section that I got in there. But I also make sure that the articles are fully available. So like, yeah, like anybody who's trying to
Can you
actually
send me a link to
dive
that
into
Discord,
this,
sir?
yeah, sure. I'll link it down in the
Yeah,
comment section
it's
below.
it's in our bios.
Yeah.
B1initiative.org.
All right, I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah, go to the menu on top and just click join us. It's a fire website though. I coded that myself, but it's got like our whole mission statement. what we about. We a nonprofit, 501c3, tax deductible, and if if you look at the projects section, you're going to see we're building Sankofapedia, a free online encyclopedia, kind of like Wikipedia, but it's Afrocentric.
Sankofa.
Sankofapedia is an Afrocentric Wikipedia where we're
Oh
going
yeah.
to not only talk about the Afrocentric perspective of the worldview of everything. We're going to talk about President Clinton. We're going to talk about how his lineage comes from slave owners. Everyone that's a slave owner is going to get a badge, like a verification badge, to let you know that this Anki owned slaves. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, and then we're gonna have lineage of the enslaved ancestors and show how they connect to us today. We have a graph view, which is a thing. It looks like a spider web, and it links every article that we post so that you can go on the website and see how people are interconnected. And then we're gonna have where you can put your genealogy up there too as well. If you are African descent, then you can add your genealogy and show how you're connected to whoever. Like if you're connected to celebrities, whatever, you're also gonna have to verify that. But if you have the proof to put it up there, just like with Wikipedia, it's gonna be reviewed by our peers. But yeah, we're gonna eventually show how the entire African diaspora is connected, even to our
That
ancestors. And we can link events to ideologies. We can link historical art pieces to societies. It gets real deep, but that's what we doing.
heck yeah. And
Yeah.
one last thing, because I could keep going. You know what I mean? I know a lot about a lot, but if I wanted to simplify something that we all can do that is very simple, bro. Okay, math. This is the only thing we really need. You can think in terms of math once you understand it. You know what I mean? Algebra, calculus, differential equations. That's really it. You know what I mean? Geometry and all that other stuff ties into it. Trigonometry makes geometry a lot easier. If we could think in those terms, if we could all have our kids just on that, we'll be top dogs. You look at the Asians. You know what I mean? We're good at it. We have the most diverse gene pool in the world. The smartest people and the dumbest people are probably in the same place just because of how diverse we are. So like mathematics for our kids, mathematics for ourselves, we should focus on like if we're going to educate people, that's the education, mathematics, because it's the only thing in the universe that you can't debate numbers. You know what I mean? Unless they're
Right.
fucked up. Excuse my language, but unless the numbers are skewed, you can't debate numbers. And usually you can use math to figure out if they're skewed. So
Well, appreciate y'all. I gotta go to bed. I got work tomorrow, man. Gotta go to the plantation as I put this money towards what we're building. If y'all want to donate as well, $ bring down Babylon and go on the website, hit the donate button. If you're a brother, you a sister, you want to contribute in helping us build Sankofapedia, feel free to join us. We're a nonprofit for only Africans, Africans only, Black people only us. If you want to join, or even if you want early access to Sankofapedia, we are gatekeeping it. So if you a brother, you a sister, and you want to learn more about history, we are building our own resources. That's where it starts. We have to have resources. They're taking our history out of the schools. It's getting harder to teach our children these things. They're saying you're racist when you talk about the truth. So we are going to put the truth on the internet so that y'all can see it in a fun, interactive, and in plain words. Nothing too hard to read, like something that's for brothers and sisters. So go ahead, check out b1initiative.org. I really appreciate y'all. Thank you for your donations and thanks for contributing. Send $1, send two. It's all cool. One love. Appreciate you, Leisha, T Dub, everybody that's moderating. I think I seen Kira down there at one point. D, you came in late, but I love you, sister. And Black Swan, as always. Gives Hug and Timothy. Appreciate y'all. Go ahead,
Hop
close
in
us
that
out, man.
tub before you hop in black business.
Absolutely. Peace, y'all. Peace out, Jess. Bye bye.